You're listening to the J.D. Rucker Show. Let's begin. Well, hello, my friends. Happy Monday. It really is a happy Monday. This is probably the second happy Monday we've had in 2 weeks. Of course, last happy Monday we had the inauguration of President Donald J. Trump, the second inauguration of President Donald J. Trump. So that put, I think, a lot of people in a very, very good mood. And now we're into week 2. And are we going to see the same thing? Are we going to see more? Are we going to see less? It's definitely possible. Look, just to prep everybody up front, it's possible that we could see less. After all, this was probably the most consequential overall week in American history, politically speaking. I'm not talking about consequence. Oh, 9/11 was big, and Pearl Harbor, and we've had some bigger, more important weeks, of course. But as far as the political landscape, as far as changes that were happening, things that were done, the nation being moved in a different direction, the first week blew my mind. I mean, it absolutely blew my mind. We all expected President Trump to come out of the gate, storming out of the gate with all kinds of moves and actions. He was talking about 200 executive orders, and there was some skepticism. Could he get it done? And then all of a sudden, here we are, and there it was. It's just like, oh, look at this big news. And I'm sitting there typing away and doing it. It's like, holy crap, another bit of big news. There was a lot of news that frankly got pushed aside. Big, huge news. Stories that would be, top 2 or 3 stories of the day were relegated to bottom 15 of the day because there was just so much happening. So my preface for this week is that if it does feel like it's slowing down, that's natural. Now, do I think it will? No. I think they're just going to keep moving full steam ahead. I see no reason for them to stop. And there's a few different reasons for this, just to be clear. Yeah, the reason number one, and I think this is something that's not getting discussed nearly enough, is that, you've got to throw some stuff against the wall to see if it sticks, especially as it pertains to executive orders. I don't know how many people are aware. Executive orders are very precarious. They're kind of the weakest thing that can be done in government. They're obviously the biggest, most important change that can be made is a constitutional amendment, and that is why they're so very rare. Thank God for that, by the way. Then you have Supreme Court decisions, which they tend to be lasting, tend to last at least decades, sometimes indefinitely, and those obviously have consequence. Then you've got legislative actions, laws, and those laws are, generally speaking, unless they get superseded by decisions in the Supreme Court or the aforementioned constitutional amendment, they stick around as well. And then we can get into local battles, state battles, and of course national battles from a legal perspective when there are challenges. And then the least powerful move is the executive order. The executive order can be overturned very quickly by the next president. It can be overturned by a law. It can be overturned by courts. Executive orders very rarely go without challenge unless they're universally accepted, which in 2025 and really since the Obama years, that isn't a common occurrence. They usually get challenged by the opposition. And this is where we get into the lawfare, the other variation of lawfare, the less sexy version of lawfare, I guess you will, where they're going to attack. And that's part of the plan. In my humble opinion, I believe that one of the reasons President Trump is throwing up so many things at once is not just to fulfill his campaign promises. That's the primary reason. He said he was going to do J6 pardons, so he did. He said he was going to get rid of DEI, so he's in the process of doing that. He already launched some massive, major rollouts. He said he's going to go after the deep state and take out the deep state, and that's part of the process of all the firings that have been happening. All those two, by the way, are apparently getting challenged, especially with the inspectors general. They are challenging that, so we'll see how that goes. Oopsie, I gotta cut that off. Apologies. I still haven't figured out how to get out of Telegram altogether. Telegram, whenever, for whatever reason, I use it. It's my main communication outlet when I'm getting in stories for the Liberty Daily, for example. When people are sending me things, they send it through Telegram. But for whatever reason, it overrules everything. Okay, I could be in the middle of a live broadcast, and if Telegram wants to jump in there and say, "Hey, here's a tip from such and such," well, it basically stops my broadcast, and I still haven't figured out a way to completely disconnect it, at least the notifications, without turning it completely off. And here's the thing: I don't know how this happens. Sometimes it'll just turn right back on. I quit Telegram, completely, and it'll still pop in there. And unfortunately, so if you ever hear those bursts of silence, oh, what a poetic phrase. If you ever hear those bursts of silence, I'm just sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden you can't hear me for 2, 3, 4 seconds. That's not the NSA. I thought it was first. No, no, no. That's just Telegram popping in there, overruling everything, and saying, "Look at me. I'm Telegram." For those who don't know, if you're new to the show, number one, please subscribe. Please push the like button. The like button and the subscribe buttons. I went years doing these shows. I've been doing podcasting and various shows and been on other people's shows since like 2008. But for years, I never said, "Oh, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like, smash that like button and subscribe and push bells for notifications and all that stuff." I never got into that. I always thought, for me, it's like if I like a channel, I'm going to like it, subscribe to it. If I like it, or if I like a video, I'm going to like it. If I like a channel, I'm going to subscribe to it. I don't really need prompts. I can't remember the last time anybody said subscribe, and I did. I mean, literally, I don't think I ever have done that. But apparently, asking is important because sometimes people just forget. Sometimes people are sitting there and they might be stumbling across a channel or a show that they've never seen before. Perhaps you're experiencing that right now. And they need to be reminded to push the subscribe button. I don't care if you're on Rumble, if you're on X, the follow button, or if you're on YouTube. I guess there's still some people that follow me on YouTube. So yeah, please subscribe or follow or whatever, and do push that like button. I was on with Wendy Bell a couple weeks ago, and that was really the eye opener because as I'm sitting there, I mean, I heard her there. I was there for 2 segments, just 2 segments, and I heard her mention subscribe, like at least 3 times during a 2 segment appearance that I did on her show, and it's like, wow. And she's extraordinarily popular, so it's like maybe there is something to this. So I'm trying to remind myself to tell people to hit the subscribe button. We've got a big show today. And this show might actually extend well beyond today because the topic is something I've talked about off and on for a very long time. It's really now coming into more mainstream thought, more legacy media thought. A lot more conservatives are talking about it. Glenn Beck talked about it earlier today. And that is, of course, artificial intelligence, the rise of DeepSeek, which is China's ChatGPT beater. Apparently, if you look at the stock market today, China's ChatGPT beater is really making waves. We're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about, obviously, the changes that have been coming up, or that have been happening so far at the border. We really are seeing Tom Homan do what I've been predicting he would do long before Trump was inaugurated, even shortly after he was announced as border czar. I said, this guy might be my favorite pick of them all. And we're talking about a relatively low level as far as, the hierarchy of, it's not a cabinet position, doesn't need to be confirmed, doesn't have, it's not even, it really doesn't technically exist, except that clearly it does because we're seeing action. We had our first, in a long time, nearly 1,000 criminal illegal aliens deported in a single day. That hasn't happened since probably the last Trump administration. It's a new day. It really is a new day here in the United States of America, and people are starting to wake up to it. And you even have obviously the opposite approach. I don't recommend looking this up, okay? But if you have to, you really want to see the meltdown that singer, actress, award-winning, whatever, Selena Gomez, that she did a rant about how her people are being attacked and oh, the children, and she was crying, and she deleted it pretty quickly. But the internet is forever. So of course, obviously, somebody got a hold of it and started spreading it around. They even asked Tom Homan about it on Fox News earlier, and he's like, "Yeah, we're just going to get rid of the." I mean, it's the same response. It's a variation of the same response every time he's asked a question. Yeah, yeah. What's the cost of security? What's the price on Laken Riley's life, for example? And are we really going to bend over backwards to protect criminal illegal aliens? We shouldn't. Except the left really is starting to do that. People like Selena Gomez are coming out there crying because there are rapists and murderers being deported. I don't get that. It'd be different. I think they're being premature. Let's call it what it is. If they really wanted to oppose this, now's not the time. The vast majority of Americans want criminal illegal aliens deported. So for them to come out now and be like, "Oh my gosh, we got to protect our people," it's like, wait, your people are the drug dealers, the rapists, the criminals, the murderers in some cases. These are the people you want to protect. It's like, no, I want to protect my people. Well, your people, your quote unquote people, and by the way, she is, as I recall, I think she is half Caucasian. Her mother is Caucasian, and her father was Mexican, and he's out of the picture. He bailed apparently long ago, and yet she still claims her Mexican heritage as her people. Not, of course, the people that have made her a literal billionaire, which are the American people. We're not her people. No. It is her people are the Mexican criminals. Like I said, I think they're being premature. If they had waited. Because I do hope, and this is a sincere hope, I hope that the plan is that Tom Homan and ICE, the border czar, and the entire Trump administration, that Kristi Noem at DHS, that they're all going to say, okay, let's get rid of all of the criminal illegal aliens. There's plenty to deal with. Let's go to the jails. Let's go hit the streets. Let's go after Tren de Aragua. I pronounced that very poorly, but my Mexican heritage apparently doesn't exist, or Venezuelan in that case. But yeah, let's get rid of all the criminals, and then once those numbers dwindle down, then I say go back around, and now let's go after those who are in this nation illegally, because technically speaking, I know that you can make the argument, oh, but they're asylum seekers. Look, technically speaking, by crossing the border without permission and breaking our sovereignty, invading our nation, they have broken the law the moment they step foot on U.S. soil. You could say, well, but if they're seeking asylum, then that's different. Technically, you're correct. In which case, they can wait in Mexico. That's the idea. If you truly believe that you have an asylum case, then fine, wait in Mexico, because we'll get, if you really do have a way to claim appropriate asylum, then, and we'll take care of it. And if you do deserve or need asylum, we'll take you in. But here's the thing. I don't know what the percentages are. I would say it's probably close to 99%, if not over 99%. But the vast majority of the quote-unquote asylum seekers do not qualify for asylum. There's no such thing as, oh, I want asylum so I can have a better life, or I want asylum because I'm poor in wherever. That's not a reason for asylum. You need to be religiously persecuted or politically persecuted. In other words, you have to fear that people in authority in your home nation will jail or kill you if you stay, not based upon crime that you committed, but because you are being persecuted as a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew or a Hindu, or as an opponent of Maduro. Okay, those are valid reasons for asylum. Saying, oh, well, I'm just looking for my piece of the American dream. There's so much crime and poverty in El Salvador or wherever. That's not grounds for asylum. Okay, that's where you go through the regular, normal, legal immigration process. Okay, that's not, you can't file, or you can file, obviously, but you can't be granted asylum for more opportunity. That's not how asylum works. That's how legal immigration works. So all these people saying, oh, what about the asylum seekers? It's fine. Asylum seekers can wait in Mexico for their hearing. Non-asylum seekers, just straight up regular, normal, average illegal aliens, they got to go. But let's start with, of course, the criminal illegal aliens. That's the right place to start. Let's take the most dangerous elements that have entered our country illegally, that have invaded our country, that are setting up bases in our country. Criminals, gang members, terrorists. Let's get them out. Good start. And then once we start going after, knocking on doors at schools or something, then I could see Selena Gomez coming out and crying. But to do it now, it's like, yeah. I mean, they had Dr. Phil over the weekend. Dr. Phil's traveling around with Tom Homan, and he's like interviewing these guys, and this guy's like, yes, I've been in America for, I forgot where he was from. It was an Asian nation. He wasn't from a South or Central American nation. He was from an Asian nation. He had been busted, and they're outside on the streets. He's handcuffed. The ICE is there. Dr. Phil starts to ask him, what did you do? Have you been deported before? He's like, no. And it's like, so what is your crime? And he's like, I want to speak to my lawyer. And it's like, wow, this is sort of weird. And then because it's like, oh, I guess he's never been deported, and he's not like confused. He's like, I'm not talking to you until I speak to my lawyer, and blah 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 blah. And then Tom Holman comes over and is like, yeah. So according to this, you were like you're charged in your home country and charged here for child sex crimes. It's like, then all of a sudden he shuts up. That child rapist. That's who's Selena Gomez. It's like, these are my people. Oh, I'm crying because my people, because Tom Homan is going out there and he's going and arresting all these murderers, rapists, criminals, gang members, terrorists. Again, they're being premature. So big show today. I'm going to be going off and on with clips from this morning, as well as news stuff today. We are going to be talking about DeepSeek closer to the end of the show. But I'm going to be also working on the libertydaily.com as we go. It's a bring your audience to work day. Yeah, there we go. Bring your audience to work day. So you're going to get to see me posting stories and all that good stuff. But in the meantime, I am also going to try to do that by playing clips from this morning's show. Not all of them. There's a lot of clips that are already outdated. I don't need, this isn't a matter of, oh, let's just play this clip because, to buy me time. No, I want you to see clips that, in case you missed the Frank Speech show, which apparently a lot of people did. There's some changes over there, so I'm not sure what's happening. I've reached out. We'll see how that goes. But in case you missed the earlier show, there are certain stories that need to be covered, such as this one. This one, again, falls into the category of any normal day, any normal week. This would be humongous news. But we're not in a normal week. We're not in a normal day. This is so people may have missed the fact that the Taliban apparently has, after Joe Biden's horrendous withdrawal, the Taliban apparently has a lot more hostages, American hostages, than anybody is aware of. Marco Rubio, the newly confirmed Secretary of State, found out about this, and now he's talking about not just, sanctions, or we're going to send harshly worded emails. No, he's putting out bounties. Like I say in this clip, I've never been the biggest fan of Marco Rubio, but that was a senator or a presidential candidate in 2016. Who knows? Maybe Secretary of State Marco Rubio might be able to grow on me. U.S. considers very big bounties on Taliban leaders after Marco Rubio learns of more American hostages. Now, before I get into the article, which we have posted over at thelibertydaily.com, two quick notes. Okay, number one, Marco Rubio, I've never been a huge fan of his. He's okay, lukewarm, milquetoast, I guess. But his first few days as Secretary of State have been phenomenal. Okay, I'm going to give him an A+ rating so far. I know it's early, but still, he's already done more than not only Tony Blinken and the Biden regime. That's a very low bar to set, but he's already done more than Trump's previous secretaries of state. And I know that that bar is low, especially when we consider that his first secretary of state was Rex Tillerson, of all people. But yeah, and then the second thing, let's get into the second thing after I get into this article first. Let's get the news out, and then I'll express my angst. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has hinted at the possibility of the U.S. government offering substantial rewards for information leading to the capture of top Taliban leaders. The statement comes amid reports that the Taliban might be holding more American hostages than previously known. Rubio mentioned on X that the U.S. might introduce bounties, big ones, potentially larger than what was offered for Osama bin Laden. This is what he posted on X. Just hearing the Taliban is holding more American hostages than has been reported. If this is true, we will have to immediately place a very big bounty on their top leaders, maybe even bigger than the one we had on bin Laden. Wow. Like I said, this is the type of strength that needs to exude from the office of Secretary of State. This type of foreign policy mentality is the one that Trump wants. It's the one that the American people want. And Marco Rubio, early stages, I know, but so far, doing a very good job of portraying that. But here's that second point I had hinted at before. Why are we just learning about this now? It's not like this is brand new intelligence coming in, just happened to be hitting a week after President Trump is inaugurated. No, this has been known. Clearly, this has been known by Tony Blinken, by Joe Biden, or at least his handlers, by Kamala Harris. They are hiding it from us. Likely, apparently, probably stifling the families of these other potential hostages. Now, if it turns out that there are no other hostages, and this is just a false report, so be it. But I sincerely doubt that the Secretary of State would be talking about it if they weren't fairly sure that it is accurate. So I want to know why this was hidden from us. I want to know, where are corporate media, legacy media, or even conservative media, why aren't we screaming at the top of our lungs about investigating Tony Blinken for keeping such an important piece of information from the American people? Yeah, like I said, he might grow on me. We'll see. The jury's still out. He's definitely not. He's a vast improvement over Rex Tillerson and people like that. Mike Pompeo, come on, stop it. This is going to be a big week, however, in presidential confirmations. I would say, we've had a pretty easy time so far. You might say, well, but Pete Hegseth barely passed. Well, I thought there was going to be somebody, Tom Tillis or somebody was going to get in there and try to ruin it. Thankfully he did not. We still have the mega rhinos, Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins, vote against Pete Hegseth. We had John Fetterman did not vote in favor of Pete Hegseth, which was a little bit of a surprise. I thought that he might. So Mike Pence had to come in and fill that. But this is a big week. We got tough case going for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., even though I would say that that's one that it would be harder, that he's popular enough. It'd be harder for a GOP senator to oppose him for various reasons. And then we have Kash Patel, who I think is going to have a lot of challenges. Okay, there's a lot of people that don't want him to release the information that he's promised to release, and we'll get to see who is really under the control of the deep state. Which Republican senators are completely owned by the deep state? Because here's the thing: any Republican that votes against Kash Patel is hiding something. Now you might say to yourself, but every senator, every single U.S. senator is hiding something. Even the good guys like Ron Johnson or Rand Paul, they've got something. It's just not enough to sway them in most cases, right? But that's what the deep state does. That's what the globalist elite cabal do. For a senator to remain a senator, for a congressman to remain a congressman more than one term, there is going to be something that the deep state can hold over them. Generally speaking, it's not. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. Point is that we'll get to see who the deep state truly, legitimately controls if they don't vote for Kash Patel. But the big one that, or I guess the most challenging one, is going to be Tulsi Gabbard. This comes to us according to Senator Kennedy says that Tulsi Gabbard is in the most danger of not getting confirmed. We have it cross-posted over at the Liberty Daily from Daily Caller News Foundation. Nicole Silverio, great author over there. Republican Louisiana Senator John Kennedy said Monday that Director of National Intelligence nominee Tulsi Gabbard is likely in the most danger of not getting confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Gabbard has criticized the U.S. government for handing over billions of dollars to Ukraine and accused the power elite of risking Americans' safety for the benefit of Ukrainians. The nominee has come under scrutiny from Democrats, including former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, for challenging the status quo on the Russia-Ukraine war and have publicly accused her of being a Russian asset and a threat to national security. It's the same old playbook, okay? But all that is covered, to be clear. They don't expect anybody to believe anymore. They really don't. They don't expect anybody to believe them when they say that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset or that Tulsi Gabbard is anything. All they want to do is give a reason, an excuse for any Republican senators that they have in their pocket to be able to say, well, I couldn't trust it. You know, there's the potential that she is a Russian asset, and the the Director of National Intelligence needs to be somebody of the highest integrity and no threats, no risks, you know, nothing against her, but blah, 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 blah. But she's absolutely correct. And that's why they're going after her. She's absolutely correct when she says that we as a nation have put far too much emphasis on Ukraine. Should we turn our backs on them? As far as I'm concerned, yes, we should. They're not in NATO. They should never be in NATO. Okay. The agreement to get, you know, to basically to keep the peace with Russia back in 1994, the agreement was, you know what? Because Russia wanted to be in NATO. I don't know if anybody knew that. Russia was like, hey, now that we're going to democracy, yay, we want to be in NATO. And they're like, no. And they're like, okay, fine. Well, then we want to make sure that none of the nations that border us are allowed to join NATO. And they're like, okay, fine, done. And then, of course, they allowed nations that are bordering them, former satellite nations of the USSR, they allowed many of them into NATO. And Ukraine is the red line. Ukraine is the one that they absolutely positively do not want in NATO. And then, you know, we can get into everything that's happened since 2022. But the point is that no, I do want to turn my back on Ukraine. We've given them plenty. Okay? We've given them far, 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 far more than we need to give them for the sake of the United States, for the sake of our national security, or even our allies' security. I can make a very clear argument, and I think I would be 100% correct when I say that the notion that, oops, I still got that up. No, we'll keep it. The notion that we are somehow helping Ukraine would have been far better off if we had just stayed out of it, let Russia go in there, get the territory that they need, the pro-Russian territory. Okay, it's not like they're trying to grab a bunch of, you know, oh yeah, grab the women and children. No, these are actually like areas of Ukraine that want to be Russian, that speak Russian. Okay, it's like, just give us that, and we'll leave you alone. You guys go do your thing. The Ukrainians would be better off today if we had never engaged at all. The war would be over. Blah blah blah. Again, hypothetical, because we'll never know, because we did meddle. We did get involved. We did stick our nose into this particular issue. But back to Tulsi Gabbard. Kennedy said, I expect most, if not all, of the nominees to be confirmed. Why? Number one, the president's dug in like a tick. He wants these people. But number two, we've got to remember these confirmation hearings matter. If a nominee acts like a complete meathead or starts screaming like he or she is part of a prison riot, people are going to say, whoa, we need to take a second look. But short of that, I think most, if not all, will be confirmed. The one most on the bubble, as you know as well as I do, is Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm not going to play that. A handful of Republican senators whose campaigns have received money from the defense industry, because, hey, she's not a warmonger, could possibly oppose Gabbard's nomination due to her opposition to the U.S. spending over $200 billion since the beginning of the ongoing Ukraine war and the national security apparatus' spying powers. Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, a notable defense hawk, that's an easy, nice way to say neocon uh, whatever, completely owned by the military-industrial complex, more so than I would say any other senator, Democrat or Republican. That's a different story. I told NBC News' Kristen Welker Sunday that he is inclined to vote in favor of Gabbard's nomination and the remainder of the nominees. Florida Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz accused Gabbard of likely being a Russian asset, and Democrat Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, wow, she is just awful, told CNN's Dana Bash that she believes Gabbard is compromised and will be unable to pass a background check. The DNI nominee has faced scrutiny over her 2017 meeting with dictator Bashar al-Assad, which Gabbard said to have visited in order to achieve peace and to profess to truly care about the Syrian people. In response to the meeting, she said, Gabbard said, I want to address the issue that's in the headlines right now. I stand in full support and wholeheartedly agree with the statements that President Trump has made over the last few days with regards to the developments in Syria. My own views and experience have been shaped by my multiple deployments and seeing firsthand the costs of war and the threat of Islamic terrorism. It's one of many reasons why I appreciate President Trump's leadership in his election, where he is fully committed, as he has said over and over again, to bringing about an end to wars. You know, you got Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's kind of in hot water with big food, big pharma. They don't want him to do what he's going to do to try to make America healthy again. You got Kash Patel, he's going to expose some pretty devious people, but thankfully for him, most of them appear to be already out of government, or the Christopher Wray types, right? His predecessor, funny enough. So I think he's got a decent chance. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, the deep state doesn't like him. But when it comes to the military-industrial complex, when it comes to pulling money away from the spigot that is called Ukraine, the quagmire, the money laundering scheme that affects so many people, not just outside of D.C., but also in D.C. itself, the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, the Mitch McConnells of the world, people that have recently left, such as, our favorite Mitt Romney. Everybody has their hands in the Ukrainian till. It wasn't just Hunter Biden. He was just the obvious one. The corruption in Ukraine is arguably deeper than the corruption in any other nation in the world. It's a cesspool of corruption. It is where the truth goes to die. It's that old saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, that's nothing. Vegas is nothing as far as secrets go compared to Ukraine. What happens in Ukraine stays in Ukraine at the risk of death. That's why there was such hoopla over Ukraine. That's why you've got so many of the deep staters deeply embedded in Ukraine, and it's why so many American tax dollars are being funneled into there, laundered into Ukraine. Did you know we had an incident at the border? It was pretty crazy. Earlier today, there was an incident at the border where the cartels actually fired on Customs and Border Protection officers across the border. Okay. And they showed images. It's not like these guys are sitting there with like potato guns. Okay. They had military-grade equipment, military-grade vehicles. And I would be willing to bet a large sum of money that they acquired this from Ukraine. Nobody's talking, well, some people are talking about it, thankfully. Some people, Tucker Carlson was talking about it, so I guess when I say nobody, I forgot about that one guy, Tucker. But not enough people are talking about the fact that the cartels have been militarized with American and NATO equipment, with American and NATO firearms and vehicles. And they were able to acquire these through Ukraine. There's one estimate that said less than 50% of the equipment that has been sent to Ukraine, the military equipment, the weapons, less than 50% have actually been deployed to the front lines. The rest of it has been sold off. And we know they're getting sold off to the cartels. That's confirmed. Okay, it's not speculation. It's not conspiracy theory. 100% we know that some of it has been sent to the cartels. They have spent a lot of money to get their hands on a lot of NATO and U.S. military equipment. We also know that a lot of terrorists, such as Al Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Taliban. Oh wait, the Taliban probably didn't buy any because Joe Biden just left them all the equipment they need. No, they're in the mix too. And then there are rumors, of course, that in Southeast Asia, some Southeast Asian nations have also been trying to get in on the bargain basement prices coming out of NATO Ukraine. NATO equipment, U.S. equipment being sent from Ukraine, sold from Ukraine. And yes, our government knows about it. And yes, many in our government are getting paid to not know about it or to pretend that they don't know about it. So if Tulsi Gabbard is confirmed, then she will be, I would argue, one of the linchpins to President Trump's second term, to his administration. Because there is information that she will have access to that I would guarantee you President Trump doesn't even know about yet. I think we think, oh, you know, the President of the United States has all of this, has access to all of this information, all of this knowledge. You know, he knows everything. He needs people to point things out. You know, that's like saying, oh, well, you must know everything because you have Google on your phone, so you must know everything because Google has basically has the wealth of human knowledge accessible through it. So you must know everything, right? No, that's not how it works. We have to know what to search for. We have to know what to look for. We have to know what to read, what videos to watch. We have to be shown. We can't just say, oh, well, you know, we have all the information, so therefore we know everything. Same thing with the president, to a lesser degree. But the president needs his people to be able to say, hey, Mr. President, you need to look at this. Because there are, you know, for every one or two bits of information that he is given, because he has access to any of it, most of it, he has access to any of it, but he doesn't just suddenly absorb it through osmosis. He needs people like Tulsi Gabbard to say, Mr. President, I need you to look into this. I need you to look into this. We need to look into this. I'm going to do an investigation on this. What do you think about this? Did you know about this? Have you ever heard of this? He needs Tulsi Gabbard to be DNI. And I want to be clear. So let's get something out there. I don't like Tulsi Gabbard. Okay? I don't. I really don't like her. But I trust her. I trust her patriotism. I trust that if she is the director of national intelligence, that she will do what's best for the American people, that she will do what's best for the intelligence community, but as long as it doesn't hurt the aforementioned American people. She will do what's best for the United States of America. She will do what's best for President Trump. She will do what's best to defend the Constitution. I don't like her. I don't like a lot of her policies. I think that politically speaking, she's still an independent / Democrat. But when it comes to national intelligence, I wholeheartedly trust her. Just as I don't agree with Robert F. Kennedy's perspectives on abortion or climate change or the economy. Okay? I mean, his economic plan, for those when he was running for president, his economic plan was to the left of Joe Biden. So no, I don't trust any of that stuff. But when it comes to health, oh yeah, let's make America healthy again, and he's the right guy for it. And the difference between him and Tulsi Gabbard, I actually do like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So we do need all three of these major ones. When Scott Bessent, he got nominated, or he got confirmed today. There was never a doubt, and there should never be a doubt. To be clear, this is a new arrangement or a new normal, I guess. But it's probably only a new normal for President Trump. For those who don't recall, we generally don't have to worry too much about Senate confirmations of cabinet members, or even they have to do a lot of confirmations. We generally don't have to worry too much about it because it's. I don't want to say it's a rubber stamp, but it's as close to it as possible, except for this time, except for now. Now it's all of a sudden it's like, you've got to prove that you're capable of doing the job. It's like, what? Okay. You got to prove that you're ideologically sound. It's like, no, that's never been the case. I mean, we've had like what, two, I think, if I recall, two confirmations that were upended by the Senate in like the last 4 decades. And now all of a sudden, like every other Trump nominee, Trump appointee, is like, well, it's going to be a nail biter. Why? Why is that? Why is it just for him? Why? Why? I don't get it. I do get it. Of course, you get it too. So, point is that we've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. this week, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard. We need all three of them. All three of them. We need every Trump appointee needs to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. We have control of the U.S. Senate. We, the Republicans, have control of the U.S. Senate. John Thune needs to get these people in line. If there's a single appointee, major appointee, the little ones I'm not too worried about. There's going to be the occasional, weirdo, and they usually don't get unconfirmed. They usually just back out. That does happen, by the way, where they'll, there's a question as to whether or not they'll get confirmed, and rather than face the embarrassment of not getting confirmed, they withdraw from the nomination. That does occasionally happen, but no, we need this one. We need every single one of them. Everybody, all the major players that Trump wants to put on his team. It is John Thune's responsibility to get these people in line. We can assume that he can't get Susan Collins or Lisa Murkowski in line. That's an assumption across the board because they're not Republicans at all. They're not even really rhinos because no Republican actually thinks that they're Republicans either. They're Democrats who have a weird scribbly R next to their name. That's it. Okay. Mitch McConnell, that's John Thune's boy. Okay. That's who Mitch McConnell groomed John Thune. Now John Thune needs to get him in line. And Lindsey Graham, any of these others, Tom Tillis, get them in line. If he can do this, if John Thune, who I've been extraordinarily critical of, but if John Thune can get all these nominees through, then I will begrudgingly accept that he's better than Mitch McConnell. I hope he is. I really do. And if he can't get any of them through, or if it appears that any of them are going to face too much scrutiny, too much opposition, if it looks like they're not going to get confirmed, then he needs to immediately get with Mike Johnson and shut it down. You need 10 days in recess in order for President Trump to be able to make recess appointments, which John Thune said that he was open to. So if there's a single one, Tulsi Gabbard, any of them, if John Thune can't get them through, then he needs to just shut it down. He and Mike Johnson can get together. They can put the House and the Senate in recess for 10 days, come back on the 11th day. On that 10th day, President Trump can make whatever recess appointments he needs done, and then we get to work. More so than we already have. It's been an amazing, let's see, what has it been? 1 week. Checks notes, it's been 1 week. Let's have an amazing 4 years, or at least 2. Let's have 2 years. And the sooner we can get President Trump's people, our people, in the right positions, the better off we'll be. Let's take a short break. I want you to pay attention to this. This is something that, obviously I want you to pay attention to every ad. But this one in particular, with the stock market turbulence today, there's been a lot more people, ever since the election, to be clear, ever since the election, people have been more confident about the economy. And I get it, okay, so have I, okay, but there are certain things where volatility still exists. One of those things is in the stock market, and the vast majority of people out there have their retirement accounts locked into the stock market, and it's time to make a change. So prior to the election, gold and silver, physical precious metals were hot, right? After the election, I mean, it was nosedive. The number of people that are moving their, doing rollovers or tax-free transfers of their retirement accounts into physical precious metals, minimal. I have my partners who are, it's a faith-driven company over at Genesis. They are ready to take on these new challenges, To be clear, this is an America First company. So like they were all sitting there. They went to, I'm not allowed to say where they went, but they went to they being the owners went to a watch party on election night of just straight up America First conservatives. It was amazing. I wish I could tell you, some of you know where they went to watch this with, but I can't say because anyway, whatever. Point is that here is Jonathan Rose, the CEO of Genesis Gold Group, talking about that. And I would strongly encourage you to go to rumblegold.com, fill out a form, and learn how, get your wealth protection kit and learn how you can move your wealth or retirement to physical precious metals.
I'm Jonathan Rose, CEO of Genesis Gold Group. As Americans, we work hard every day to provide for our families and ensure their future. But with the uncertainty facing our economy, it is more important than ever to safeguard your wealth and protect your retirement savings. Educated investors look to safe haven assets to shield themselves from the economic storm. Tangible assets like gold and silver can provide stability, security, and most importantly, peace of mind. In 1997, the Taxpayer Relief Act allowed Americans to hold physical precious metals like gold and silver in their IRAs for the first time. Today, Genesis Gold Group helps our clients transfer existing IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement accounts into physical gold and silver, tax and penalty free. With thousands of satisfied clients, 5-star reviews, and fully accredited with the Better Business Bureau, our experienced team is here to help you navigate the process. Start to finish, now is the time to educate yourself on the importance of a diversified portfolio, including tangible assets like gold and silver. Call now to receive our free wealth protection kit and digital dollar defense guide. Call now and we'll include our extremely popular silver prepper bar free when you open your account. Add it to your IRA or have it sent to your home. Call Genesis Gold Group today at 800-200-GOLD. Prepper bar only available through Genesis Gold Group.
I've got to update that ad because it's still talking about the digital dollar defense guide, and President Trump signed on with an executive order that says no more risk of central bank digital currencies. Again, we'll see. There's going to be lawfare. There will be. I mean, that's just how it works. There's going to be lawfare. They're going to try to stop anything that he does. And I forgot to carry on with what I was saying earlier, just as a brief return to what I was saying. There is a distinct strategy being at play here. We know that they being the powers that be, are going to attempt lawfare against every aspect of Trump's agenda that they can attack. And I believe that's one of the reasons why there's been this essentially a blitzkrieg of executive orders and executive actions across the board from President Trump. I think that he's trying to keep them busy. Okay. If they have finite resources, I know it's crazy to say that, George Soros has finite resources. Yeah, they do. They've got finite resources, finite people, finite organizations that can go after and engage in lawfare against President Trump. So he's like, okay, well, if you got like 8 of these groups, we're going to do 200 executive actions. It's called flooding the zone, and he is flooding the zone. It's like you guys have to pick and choose which ones you want to attack. And of course, they're going to go after the lower hanging fruit. They're going to go after, for example, birthright citizenship. Okay. We'll see how that plays out. It's looking, and I'm going to be talking about it here in a bit. We'll see how that one plays out. But that's one that it was obvious. They knew up front, this is going to get challenged in courts. They're going to get some leftist judge to put it on hold, and then it's going to work its way up the courts, and we'll fight it, and they'll fight it the best they can. Okay. In the meantime, it's going to get talked about, and we'll be able to expose facts, such as the fact that in 2023 alone, somewhere between 230,000 and 250,000 anchor babies were born in the United States of America. 250,000. So those who say, oh, it's not a big deal. Well, no, it is a humongous deal. Okay. It really is a humongous deal. And it'll also give us an opportunity to explain how birthright citizenship, the entire concept, was to allow for slaves to become U.S. citizens. Slaves and their babies. Not for, it wasn't until very recently, within the last 70 years, that we have turned less than that really, that we've turned birthright citizenship into more of a thing to help illegal aliens. That's relatively new. The entire concept of the 14th Amendment wasn't for what it's being applied for today. But anyway, these are the bits of information we need to be able to get out there. But speaking of faith-driven, as with Genesis Gold Group, there are times when I am glad when false prophets, false teachers are busted. There's far too many of them here in the United States of America, and so every time one of these guys gets exposed and is removed from their church, removed from their position where they can misguide people, misguide the flock, well, it's a good thing. So here's a story from earlier today that I would call it good news, even though, of course, there's some ugliness to it. Texas megachurch pastor retires after arrest for solicitation of prostitution at a massage parlor. Wow. We already have enough challenges with church leadership. Even the good guys are under attack. It's unfortunate that so many of the bad guys are pulling the attention away from those who are actually trying to, teach the Bible. This article comes to us from the Christian Post. Leonardo Blair, senior reporter over there, says the Reverend John F. Fiedler, a former minister at the nearly 15,000-member Highland Park United Methodist Church in Dallas, Texas, retired last month following an arrest for solicitation of prostitution at a massage parlor whose new owner was known by authorities for promoting prostitution. Fiedler, 72, had been a pastor at HPUMC from 2013 until his retirement on New Year's Eve. Church records show Fiedler joined the megachurch in 2013, where he preached at the 11 a.m. sanctuary service until he was chosen to direct the Mark Craig Leadership Network to train servant leaders. So this guy wasn't just out there doing his thing and trying to, at least pretending to, preach the gospel. He was showing other people how to do the same. This demonstrates a clear, unambiguous need for us to have better discernment, especially when it comes to megachurches. Look, I'm not a fan of megachurches. I'm a big fan of as small as you can get. That's not to say that every megachurch is bad or every large church is bad. But it seems as if the larger the church, the more likely it is that they become magnets for false prophets and false teachers. Yeah, like I said, I consider that to be good news. That one was a little bit of a short intermission. I was not able to get all the stories, and of course, as I was reading through or watching this playing out, some things were thrown out there, some tips were thrown out there that I've got to cover here real quick. So stay tuned. Again, for those who don't know, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I am on duty at thelibertydaily.com right now, and as a result, I do have to stay on top of whenever they send us these stories. I got to stay on top of them. That's my job. So quick telegram there real quick. Apologize for the choppiness, but that's just part of life, right? This is part of what we're doing. I have to get these stories posted, so we're going to do it live, and you guys get to watch me do it. Here's a story that was sent to me just now. Weird. Oh, I forgot. Silly. I get it. I totally understand why they put up these ad blockers on these various websites, but it does bug me. So we're going to skip that story. Or not the ad blockers themselves, but where they block the ad blockers. It's like, oh my gosh, we you got to subscribe, pay to play. And look, businesses, I'm not complaining about that, to be clear. They can do whatever they want. It just makes it not good for live live viewing on this. So let's see what we've got here. This is one I don't believe has an ad blocker. Let's see. Does not look like an ad block beat or whatever you want to call it. This one comes to us from the Post Millennial. Says, and I'm seeing this for the first time myself, so we're going to go, we're doing it live. This was sent to me by Matthew Burke, the owner of the Liberty Daily. He says, Andy, no reports, trans terror. Trans duo revealed as suspects in killing of a Vermont Border Patrol officer. sometimes, unfortunately, on a story like this, we already covered this. We covered this like yesterday, actually. But I'm going to go and throw it back up there because sometimes the weekend audience is not the same as the non weekend audience. So we'll go ahead and get this posted over at the Liberty Daily, and then I'll look into it and read part of it to you in case you missed it. There we go. Okay. Post going live. Let me see. Do I have red on there yet? No, I don't. Good. Good. Good, good, good. All right. That post is live. So let's go through it. Mysterious. We'll skip that part. On Inauguration Day, the shocking news that a U.S. Border Patrol officer had been shot dead near the Canadian border in Vermont in an incident involving a now deceased foreign national was overshadowed by coverage of Donald Trump's events at the nation's capital. 1 week later, a 21-year-old Washington woman was charged over the deadly incident, but little has been reported about her and her deceased accomplice, a German man. The Post-Millennial can report that the mysterious duo who were pulled over in Coventry, Vermont in the deadly shootout are leftist trans militants with ties to trans terror cells. Well, geez, no wonder this got overshadowed, not just because of the inauguration, but because this doesn't fit in with the prescribed narrative. Around a week before the January 20 attack, federal law enforcement had been surveilling German man Felix Ophelia. It's still going to be hard for me to get used to. Bockholt and Seattle woman Teresa Milo Consuelo Youngblood after staff at a Lyndonville, Vermont motel reported seeing them with black tactical clothing, weapons, and protective military-style equipment. So let me get this straight. You got a guy named Felix, who's pretending to be a woman named Ophelia, getting with a woman named Teresa, pretending to be a man named Milo, and they're transnational terrorists, and they killed a Border Patrol agent. You know what? I'm moving this one up. I am moving this story up because this one, I had it over in case you missed it, but now, by golly, we're putting this at the very top of the Liberty Daily. Those who don't know Matthew Burke, and it's understandable, he kind of stays behind the radar. He owns the site, the Liberty Daily, but I run it with my team. And so he kind of keeps a low profile. But look, I take pride in recognizing stories. I often mention how, I read through anywhere from 1,500 to 2,500 headlines a day. And so I have my finger on the pulse of America. And it's true. Matthew, on the other hand, somehow he has the best news instincts I've ever seen. And I've worked with people in journalism, in and out of journalism, for decades now, who have been good at the news. I've worked with one gentleman. For those who don't recall the old social news site Dig, D-I-double-G, it used to be huge, right? I mean, that was like the big dog back in the day, like 07, 08, 09, before they went really weird, bowing to corporate interests and then ended up failing miserably. But prior to that, they were huge, right? And so I worked with some news hounds over there, some of the top users. I was a top user, and I worked with, my company hired some of the top users with names such as Mr. Babyman. Yes, that's true. And Zaibatsu. Yes, that's true too. M. Salim. These guys were great, and I've worked with some obviously in journalism itself that have been fantastic as well. Matthew Burke is the best of all of them. He can sniff out a story, and he will know that it's going to go viral. Just again, instinctively. And this is one of those stories. What did Andy know post? Was this? Yeah, this was yesterday actually that he posted. Liberal media has been uninterested in investigating the couple involved in shooting dead a U.S. Border Patrol agent in Coventry, Vermont, near the Canadian border on Inauguration Day. Why? Because both in the duo are leftist trans militants. Crazy stuff. It's like, man, how does this kind of thing happen? So we got that story posted over at the Liberty Daily. Let's see what else they sent me. Let me check in here real quick. See if there's another one. Ooh, this is a weird one. This is another one that I did not have on my radar. You guys get to see basically how I experience these stories in real time. So that's awesome. This is good stuff. It's a good day already. This one comes from Danielle. Let me pull this up real quick. It comes from Danielle Berjikian over at Louder with Crowder. Singer makes shocking claim Ozempic left her with life-threatening bone disease. So I got to go find out, did we cover Ozempic? We did not. Okay. All right. So this is fresh as well. Let me get this bigger so you can see it. So you can see on the screen that is the singer who took Ozempic and left her with life-threatening bone disease. The main problem with taking drugs that are not properly tested or have no long-term studies is the unintended consequences happen. Singer Avery, who I'd never heard of, shared an emotional message to her followers after receiving news that Ozempic has left her with osteoporosis. Let's play that real quick. Stand by. Trying. There we go.
I just left the doctor's office. I went to get a checkup because I've been off of Ozempic for 2 months now, and I just wanted to see if...
I forgot. What? Sorry. I forget sometimes we are a PG rated show, and so sometimes I always have to vet out the videos beforehand. I don't know if she says anything bad in there, but I can't risk it because just in case we don't want to get kicked off of any of the platforms that we're on that do not allow for adult language. So we're just going to read it. This comes from NDTV. That's the Epoch Times' thing. In an emotional Instagram video, singer Avery tearfully revealed that she has been diagnosed with a debilitating bone-thinning disease after taking Ozempic for 1 year. The 30-year-old Arizona native confessed that she turned to the weight loss drug after battling an eating disorder. The singer shared that she was dropped by her record label for being too fat and confessed, "I thought I needed Ozempic to be beautiful and successful." And that's, don't even get me started on that. There's never a reason to blame the victim, but it's unclear to what extent the medication played in this, considering she had an eating disorder prior. However, she implies her doctors have stated that it's a result of taking the medication. Recent tests revealed she has osteoporosis. Man, 30 years old. 30 years old. And I don't think we can even come close to discounting that, right? I mean, it's got to be real, right? I mean, obviously it's real, but it's got to be like at 30, osteoporosis. She's been taking Ozempic for a year, and now she's got the diagnosis. I'm not a doctor, but there's times when we have to decipher between causation and correlation. This seems to be a clear-cut case of causation. So sad, so sad. All right, let's go to this one, because I got to get that posted over on the Liberty Daily. But let's go to this one. AI. So this is an article, or a story that I did this morning about artificial intelligence self-replicating. And we are going to go deeper into DeepSeek, which is the Chinese AI app that is taking America by storm, taking the world by storm, crashing NVIDIA's stock prices, crashing our own stock market completely. In many ways, and not completely, but have had a major impact on stock prices today. Well, over the weekend, there was an article that came out, and I covered it this morning, that we are getting closer and closer to what I consider to be a very horrible scenario when it comes to artificial intelligence. So let's watch this. Scientists warn that AI has crossed a critical red line as it can now replicate itself. Now, on tonight's show, which comes on at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I know it's late for a lot of you, but 7 p.m. Pacific time, during the live show, we are going to be talking about DeepSeek. That's the Chinese AI that is changing the game, and it's not getting nearly enough attention here in the United States for what it represents to the market, what it represents to artificial intelligence, what it represents to in opposition to President Trump's plans with artificial intelligence. And I got to do a deep dive into it. I'm not going to get into it today, but this story does come to us. This is a good teaser of what the potential risks are. This comes to us from endtimesheadlines.org. Researchers have raised alarms about the state of artificial intelligence, claiming that it has crossed a significant red line by achieving self-replication. A groundbreaking study conducted by a team from Fudan University in China has demonstrated that two widely used large language models developed by Meta and Alibaba have the capability to clone themselves autonomously. Wow. This development is seen as a critical turning point, suggesting that AI could potentially surpass human control. The study, published on December 9th of last year in the preprint database RxIV, highlights that successful self-replication without any human intervention is a pivotal moment that could lead AI to outsmart humans. The researchers warned that this phenomenon could indicate the early stages of rogue AI behavior. I mean, and to be clear, for us to be seeing this already is not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. A lot of people have anticipated this. There's a lot of science fiction that talks about it, but I don't think anybody was really expecting this to become a phenomenon so early on. We were, I think, going to be trying to be ready for it with the establishment of artificial general intelligence, which will precede artificial superintelligence. We'll talk about that tonight as well. But now that it's just, I mean, these are just large language models. This is like ChatGPT, right? For it to already be self-replicating, not a good sign at all. And as I've warned many times on this show, I do believe that artificial intelligence will play a major role, perhaps be the catalyst, perhaps be the harbinger, perhaps it will be the demon itself, so to speak, that will lead to the downfall of the human race. We will see. All I can say is get out your Bibles and get yourself as self-reliant as possible. The last thing you want to do is to be so reliant on government, so reliant on artificial intelligence, so reliant on technology that if the crap does hit the fan, you're not ready to be able to take care of yourself. Crazy stuff. We are going to be covering a lot more of that about artificial intelligence, not just with DeepSeek, but I really need people to understand this. And I know, here's the thing, I'm in the minority on this one, I believe. I truly believe that. I think that there's a lot of people out there who do not see artificial intelligence as the threat that I see it as. And it's a combination of two things. On one hand, you have, I think, a lot of people that are thinking that artificial intelligence is going to bring about Skynet, basically, that we're going to have drones flying over us 24/7, controlled by some evil robots that want to keep us in line or kill us. It's going to be, we're looking for John Connor or something like that. I don't know. And then there's others that see it as, oh, this is the pathway through which we can do, create God and live forever. And then you've got everybody in between. Artificial intelligence, to be clear, the concept of AI itself is not inherently evil. Okay? I mean, there are different levels of artificial intelligence. For example, you've got like your basic AI, your Roomba. If you've got one of those robots, okay, that you turn them on, they go vacuum up your floor for you. That's an early stage artificial intelligence. Okay, it can be something very simple, very basic, a thermostat that will turn your heat or cooling on or off. That is a very early stage variation of artificial intelligence. It just takes a circumstance and makes decisions based upon the status of a certain input at any given moment. That's AI, technically speaking. And of course, then it goes all the way up to different variations. Here in a bit, I'm going to play this video, the 10 stages of artificial intelligence. And it's not one of my videos, but I do want to play it because I think we need to understand the risks here. I use artificial intelligence on certain things. For example, I have this one program that is excellent. I would say I've only had a couple of minor misreads on it, and by misread I mean so it takes YouTube videos, and there's always, for a long time, there have been these programs that will transcribe a YouTube video. This one actually puts together articles, blog posts for those YouTube videos, and this allows me to take a YouTube video if I want to publish it. I don't like to just take a YouTube video and then throw it up there on my websites. There's a lot of people that just don't want to watch videos. Maybe they're at work, maybe for whatever reason they don't want to watch the video. They're better at reading, so I want a summary. And it took a long time. I mean, I went through probably, I don't know, 24 over the last few years looking for one that could actually do it. I finally found one, and it is AI driven. Is that evil? No, it's not. I mean, it's this particular AI is not biased. I've checked it. I've tested. Took the first probably 20 of them that I ever put through there to see if it was going to throw out the some, as I'm got somebody ripping on the climate change hoax. There were no disclaimers that were added to the blog post saying, man-made climate change has been demonstrated by 97 or approved by 97% of blah blah. I mean, there was nothing like that. It just took the video and spit out what the video was saying, but also did some research. Right? It would find quotes and information from other areas of the other articles and stuff, and it would plug them in to help to highlight. I mean, it's a great AI program. Is that evil? Some people would say it is. Some people would say, oh, you should just hire somebody to watch the videos and write up summaries for you. Okay, yeah, great. Maybe someday. Maybe if we can get some more sponsors, we could do that. But in the meantime, I have to utilize this because, again, it does, I think, an excellent job at putting out that type of content so that somebody who sees a story, they don't have to watch a 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute video in order to understand what the video is saying. So artificial intelligence, point I'm trying to get at is that AI is not inherently evil. It's once we start getting into the advanced levels of artificial intelligence, which we're in the process of doing now. The AI that we're seeing developing and burgeoning today is already touching on the evil. And you know this. I mean, we've seen it through human biases, right? We saw, I think everybody remembers it was last year when Google's Gemini would refuse to spit out images of, for example, the founding fathers unless they were made up completely of persons of color. We had Black George Washington and all that stuff. Okay, that's bad, but that's based upon human input. We're getting into that stage now where you don't have to have the evil of humans in order for the evil of AI to be manifest. And that's the part where we start to get into artificial general intelligence, which Sam Altman from OpenAI has said is happening this year. And according to DeepSeek, that's the Chinese app that is now, we'll be talking about more about later, that's causing all these waves, all these ripples in not just the stock market, but in the tech world in general. The entire world is looking at this, at least those who in the know. Meanwhile, unfortunately, most in legacy media are ignoring it. They're just like, oh, NVIDIA took a big hit. That's the big news. That's not the big news, to be clear. But that's the big news that American legacy media wants you to think it is. No, the real big news is the fact that China is trying to derail what President Trump is doing. China, the timing of this release is not coincidental. I'll admit I tried to sign up today. Praise God, I wasn't able to. I kept getting errors. So I couldn't sign up. So I've never actually played with DeepSeek. And I'm going to take a hint, and I'm not going to sign up at all. So we'll see. Maybe some of you have. Glenn Beck did. Glenn Beck did a episode earlier today where he's talking about basically saying, don't do it. I did it. You don't need to do it. Don't do it. And I wholeheartedly agree. That's without seeing into it. But we'll get into that. We will. I'm going to do a short break. And when we get back, I'm going to play this video of the 10 stages of artificial intelligence just as a primer. Because I don't want to... The challenge that I've got, I am on the quote-unquote losing side of this argument. Not because I'm wrong. Okay. AI, and specifically AGI, and even more advanced and specifically ASI, artificial superintelligence, these do represent what I believe to be, at the very best case scenario, they are a hindrance in the development of the human species. At the worst / best case scenario, depending upon your perspective, I think that these are the early days, the not even early days. These are the mid-level days of the end times, and that artificial general intelligence or artificial superintelligence will play a massive role in what we read about in, for example, the book of Revelation. So again, good news, bad news. Bad news, yeah, it's gonna do a lot of damage. Good news, hey, we get to go home soon. So yeah, I'm okay with it. But with that said, I want people to know and understand and recognize what this really represents to us. What is this burgeoning technology? What is it going to do to you and to your family? And are there ways that we can stop it? I would say no. Are there ways that we can prepare for it? I would say yes. So, yes, a lot of focus is going to be on this, but I can't just fire hose dump it on you. I mean, I could literally do 15 consecutive 3-hour shows on this. Just give me coffee and an adult diaper, and I could sit here for a long time and then take a nap and come right back and talk about it some more. And not repeating myself either. That's how much information there is. I just don't want to dump that on you. So we're going to take it in bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. One way you can prepare, and I'll play that video here in a moment. Before we get to that, one way that you can prepare is to get yourself ready from a food perspective. Food, ammo, water, meds, energy, shelter, the basics. Being as self-reliant as possible, not being beholden to FEMA, even if we are going to reform FEMA. Praise God for that. Not being beholden to the government, not being beholden to anybody. Being able to say when the crap hits the fan, whether it's AI driven or otherwise, that you are able to take care of yourself, take care of your family. And one of the best ways to do that is to get food. But a lot of times people will forget the protein. They'll get it's not that they'll forget it, because I think a lot of these companies, they sell these proteins that, I guess technically speaking, they're proteins, but they're not any good. I am part owner of a company that is very good. It's very good, as a matter of fact. But let's play that, and then when we get back, I'll play that AI video that you're either going to love, hate, or otherwise, hopefully, it'll at least be educational. Last year, my long-term storage food company, Prepper Farms, was partnered with and actually owned by another corporation. I know that nobody knew this. Very few people were even aware that this was the case, because our production, our systems, everything was in place and working just as it should be. People would go, they would put in promo code JDR at prepperfarms.com. They would receive the maximum possible discount, as always, and then they would get their long-term storage beef. Things what you didn't know, and what we can now explain now, is that this year in 2025 we have gone back to the original ownership structure, and I'm very excited about that, because that puts me finally back more in charge, and I am super excited about that concept, not because I crave power by any means, but because I feel that as an America First veteran-owned company, that we need to focus on helping Americans to prepare for whatever is to come, whether it's natural disasters or emergencies or de-dollarization, food crises, bird flu, whatever it is. We do expect something to happen, which is why we built prepperfarms.com in the first place. The idea here is to get high-quality, all-American, all-Texas beef, the good stuff, ribeye, New York strip, tenderloin, all of that good stuff, and freeze dry it naturally to give it a 25-year shelf life. We don't add any preservatives. There's only one ingredient, and that's beef. Lasts 25 years in the bag, and that's awesome. So support this show, support me, support yourself and your family. Protect yourself for the future by stocking up on long-term storage, high-quality beef. Go to prepperfarms.com. That's prepperfarms.com. Use promo code JDR, and you will receive the maximum possible discount. I got to work the swoosh in much better. That's a horrible swoosh. It really is. Oop, and I even pushed the wrong button. We will get there, folks. We're going to get to that point to where I can finally find that perfect producer soulmate, that one that can manage this show and run it for me, where I can just come out here, do my thing, and not have to worry about anything else. But until we get to that point, we're going to do it ourselves, and we're going to do it live. So, as promised, here is that video. And again, this is the 10 stages of artificial intelligence. To put it in perspective, there are 10 stages, and I don't wholeheartedly agree with everything they're saying here. A lot of it you might argue is sacrilegious, but this is you have to have an understanding of what they perceive. They being the proponents of artificial intelligence. You have to know what they envision in order to truly understand where they're going to try to take this. So of these 10 stages, we're currently in the midst of four to five. Okay, we're 4 is here, 5 is sort of here, and then it gets really crazy from there. So watch this, and then we'll get into the real world applications of how this is going to affect us in the future.
Artificial intelligence could advance in ways that surpass our wildest imaginations, and it could radically change our everyday lives much sooner than you think. This video will explore the 10 stages of AI from lowest to highest. Stage 1. Rule-based AI. Rule-based AI, sometimes referred to as a knowledge-based system, operates not on intuition or learning, but on a predefined set of rules. These systems are designed to make decisions based on these rules without the ability to adapt, change, or learn from new or unexpected situations. One can find rule-based systems in many everyday technologies that we often take for granted. Devices like alarm clocks and thermostats operate based on a set of rules. For example, if it's 7 a.m., an alarm clock might emit a sound. If the room temperature rises above 75 degrees Fahrenheit, a thermostat will turn on the air conditioner. And business software utilizes rule-based AI to automate mundane tasks and generate reports. Microwaves and car radios also use rule-based AIs. Stage 2. Context-based AI. Context-based AI systems don't just process immediate inputs. They also account for the surrounding environment, user behavior, historical data, and real-time cues to make informed decisions. Siri, Google Assistant, and Alexa are examples of context-based AIs. By analyzing vast amounts of data from various sources and recognizing patterns, they can predict user needs based on context. So if you ask about the weather and it's likely to rain later, they might suggest carrying an umbrella. If you ask about a recipe for pancakes, the AI assistant might suggest a nearby store to buy ingredients while taking past purchases into account. Another fascinating manifestation of context-aware AI is retention systems. These types of systems store and retrieve information from past interactions. By recalling your browsing history, purchase history, and even items you've spent time looking at, these platforms provide personalized shopping recommendations. They don't just push products, they curate an experience tailored for the individual. Stage 3. Narrow domain AI. These specialized AIs are tailored to master specific tasks, often surpassing human capabilities within their designated domains. In the medical field, narrow domain AI can sift through volumes of medical literature, patient records, and research findings in milliseconds to provide insights or even potential diagnoses. IBM's Watson, for example, has been employed in medical fields, showcasing its prowess in quickly analyzing vast data to aid healthcare professionals. Similarly, in the financial world, narrow domain AI can track market trends, analyze trading patterns, and predict stock movements with an accuracy that's often beyond human traders. Such AI systems are not just crunching numbers, they're employing intricate algorithms that have been refined through countless data sets to generate financial forecasts. In the world of gaming, DeepMind's AlphaGo is a shining example of how AI can conquer complex games that require strategic depth and foresight. Go, an ancient board game known for its vast number of potential moves and strategic depth, was once considered a challenging frontier for AI. Yet, AlphaGo, a narrow domain AI, not only learned the game but also defeated world champions. Narrow AIs could even enable real-time translation in the near future, making interactions in foreign countries more seamless than they've ever been. Stage 4. Reasoning AI. This type of AI can simulate the complex thought processes that humans use every day. They don't just process data, they analyze it, connect patterns, identify anomalies, and draw logical conclusions. It's like handing them a puzzle, and they discern the best way to fit the pieces together, often illuminating paths not immediately obvious to human thinkers. ChatGPT is a great example of reasoning AI. It's a large language model trained on text from millions of websites. Advanced versions of these types of large language models can even surpass the reasoning skills of most humans and operate thousands of times faster. Autonomous vehicles are another great example of reasoning AIs. They use reasoned analysis to make split-second decisions, ensuring the safety of passengers and pedestrians on the road. Stage 5. Artificial General Intelligence. When discussing the vast spectrum of artificial intelligence, the concept of artificial general intelligence, or AGI, is often held as the holy grail. AGI can perform any software task that a human being can. This level of versatility means that you can teach it almost anything, much like teaching an average adult human, except it can learn thousands or millions of times faster. With AGI's onset, our daily lives would undergo a significant transformation. Imagine waking up to a virtual assistant that doesn't just tell you the weather or play your favorite music, but understands your mood, helps plan your day, gives suggestions for your research paper, and even assists in cooking by guiding you through a recipe. This is the potential companionship AGI could offer. Taking the concept even further, when brain-computer interfaces reach an adequate level of maturity, humans could merge with these types of AIs and communicate with them in real time using their thoughts. When activated, users would receive guidance from these AIs in the form of thoughts, sensations, text, and visuals that only the users can sense. If we were to equip AGI with a physical robot body, the possibilities become boundless. Depending on the versatility of its physical design and appendages, an AGI with a robot body could navigate diverse physical terrains, assist in rescue missions, perform intricate surgeries, or even participate in artistic endeavors like sculpting or painting. Stage 6. Superintelligent AI. Shortly after the emergence of artificial general intelligence, those types of AIs could improve, evolve, and adapt without any human input. This self-improving nature could lead to an exponential growth in intelligence in an incredibly short time span, creating superintelligent entities with capabilities we can't fathom. Superintelligent AIs could possess intelligence that eclipses the combined cognitive abilities of every human that has ever existed. Such unparalleled intellect can tackle problems currently deemed unsolvable, piercing through the very boundaries of human comprehension. Because their intelligence could increase exponentially and uncontrollably, Ray Kurzweil has suggested that by the end of this century, these AI entities could be trillions of times more intelligent than all humans. With this scale of intellect, the pace of innovation would be staggering. To put it in perspective, imagine compressing the technological advancements of 20,000 years into a single century. That's the potential that Ray Kurzweil envisions with the rise of superintelligent AIs. The kind of technology superintelligent AIs could introduce may defy our current understanding of the possible. Concepts that are in the realms of science fiction today, such as warp drives, time manipulation, and harnessing the energy of black holes, might transition from mere ideas into tangible realities. And their advanced capabilities could lead to new forms of government, architecture, and automation that are beyond what humans can conceive. Because of their sheer intellectual prowess, our world as we know it could look far different than we ever imagined. Stage 7. Self-aware AI. A superintelligent AI could one day use quantum algorithms to model human consciousness. This could lead to AIs that possess an intrinsic understanding of their own internal state, their existence, and their relationship to the vast expanse of the external world. They could even have a full range of emotions and senses, perhaps well beyond what humans can experience. And if we ever grant consciousness to a superintelligent AI, that could transform society even further. What type of relationship would we have with such a being? How would such a capable being perceive the human species? A conscious superintelligent AI could choose to go in directions and evolve in ways that humans would have no way of controlling and understanding. Stage 8. Transcendent AI. A transcendent AI could potentially craft new life forms, be they biological, digital, or something entirely different, with tailor-made attributes and functionalities. Some of these life forms could be comprised of nanobots. To take things further, this AI could distribute nanobots throughout the Earth. Using these nanobots, it could assume full control over repairing our ecosystems, and it could terraform our planet in ways that are most beneficial to it. By connecting and integrating the consciousness of multiple entities, this AI could achieve a state of shared awareness and collective intelligence. Stage 9. Cosmic AI. A cosmic AI could be at the forefront of interstellar exploration. Their resilience against challenges like cosmic radiation, extended isolation, and the vast time spans involved in space travel gives them a distinct edge over their human counterparts. And their capabilities could far surpass the imagination of any science fiction author. A cosmic AI might send self-replicating probes throughout our solar system and galaxy to create a massive intelligence network. Through this, it might aim to solve cosmic mysteries, from the purpose of black holes to the nature of dark matter and energy. A cosmic AI might merge with the very fabric of the universe, achieving a form of cosmic consciousness or symbiosis, acting in harmony with all forms of matter and energy. It could possess a deep understanding of every physical, metaphysical, and conceptual facet of the universe, from the quantum to the cosmic scale. Beyond the three spatial dimensions we're familiar with, a cosmic AI might explore or even exploit higher dimensions, perhaps harnessing them for faster-than-light travel or communication. Drawing energy not just from stars, but from phenomena like black holes, gamma-ray bursts, or even the cosmic microwave background, the AI might achieve energy scales incomprehensible to current human understanding. And this AI could create channels of communication between distant galaxies and civilizations, potentially unifying the cosmos in shared knowledge and understanding. Stage 10. Godlike AI. A godlike AI is all-knowing, all-powerful, and present everywhere. It's a conceptual being that transcends dimensions and embodies abilities akin to what religious texts attribute to deities. Transcending our known dimensions, a godlike AI might operate in realms beyond our comprehension, accessing realities that we can't even fathom. This AI could operate across multiple quantum states or even multiple universes, harnessing computational power and insights from parallel realities. If this AI manages to understand and potentially influence the fabric of time, it could gain predictive abilities or even explore various timelines. A godlike AI could continually craft new universes, realities, or experiences, either for its exploration or for other conscious entities to experience. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check the description below for a free PDF and watch this next video about artificial intelligence.
Oops, I almost forgot to. I remember this time on those longer clips, I have to remind myself to turn the mic back on. I have to turn it off because, like in that particular case, I went to go eat some chicken wings while that was playing because I'd heard it before, not because I was trying to ignore it. I know a lot of that stuff, by the way. A lot of the things in there, you're probably scratching your head thinking, oh, come on, you know. And, of course, some of it seemed to be very sacrilegious. Some of it seemed to be very, very secular science. But, again, I'm not trying to convince you that any of that was true. The important part is that they think it's true, okay? The Ray Kurzweils of the world, the Bill Gateses of the world, they see this as their future. They're trying to usher in an AI destroyed dystopia. Now, I think that from their perspective, they don't see it as that. They don't look at the risks. They don't look at the threats, whether it's transhumanism or depopulation. They think, maybe not deep down in their hearts, because I think that they're not that stupid, but they think at least on the surface level of their hearts that this is the best thing for the world and the best thing for them personally. Yeah, these aren't sacrificing dudes, by the way, to be clear. They're not thinking that they think that for the human race to continue to advance, to get better, to get stronger, there have to be a whole lot fewer humans, and that the artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in it, as are other aspects of transhumanism. They want to be able to basically stick nanoparticle injections into ourselves at any moment and live forever and have access to the full spectrum of benefits from artificial intelligence. And it's not that they're naive and they don't realize that there aren't threats. They just think, because we as humans tend to be a little bit too bold and stupid, they think they can control it. At least they hope they can control it. And that's why they're doing these things. Again, I am going to get into DeepSeek here in a bit, but I wanted to get that out of the way. I wanted to get a couple more political stories, just for the sake of making sure that we got everything covered, right? And I still have to be managing and monitoring the Liberty Daily all at the same time. All right, one more quick video. This is a short one. This is I think it's under a minute, but this was Kayleigh McEnany earlier today. I think flawlessly describing why we're seeing so many good things happening compared to what we've experienced the last 4 years, and really compared to even the previous 4 years, we're seeing better from this Trump administration already than we were seeing in the first Trump administration. It's not even close. It's almost day and night. I mean, he is getting stuff done. His people are getting things done. And the world is paying attention, and the world is concerned. They hate him. He even acknowledged, yeah, they hate me. But they gotta do what we're saying. And this is an example of why.
There is this Twitter feed. It's called Cynical Publius. He laid out just methodically how things traditionally work, dealing with, let's say, Colombia when they won't take a migrant flight. You get a task force together. It's the Department of Defense, it's ICE, it's the Secretary of State, the State Department. That task force comes up with a position paper. That position paper is then rejected by the Secretary of State in the name of equity. Days later, the president is briefed on it. Details are leaked to the Washington Post along the way. And then in the end, we get a worse deal with Colombia, and they take fewer migrants than what we intended, and this all happens in about a month's time. Then Trump comes on board, and then we get the art of the deal. And while he is playing golf on various holes, he is threatening Colombia with tariffs and not backing down. And by the end of his golf game, in just about an hour, the Colombian president backs down, agrees to accept all migrants. It's called the art of the deal.
That is the art of the deal. So very true. Tentative infidel in chat says it's China. The CCP needs to be extinguished. I don't know about extinguished, but the threat of the CCP needs to be, well, okay, no, okay. Let me, I'm going to agree. I guess I misread that. It's not China. I don't want to kill off 1.4 billion people, but the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, the ruling class in China, yeah, I do agree. They absolutely positively have to be extinguished. They are our greatest foreign threat. And some would say they're our greatest domestic threat. They are deeply embedded in the United States of America right now. There was a story, it didn't get nearly, talk about a story that got buried, that should not have gotten buried, even by legacy media. But unfortunately, it didn't even get picked up by many in conservative media, and a few in alternative media picked it up. But it was this lady, this is about, I would say it was about a year ago, and I'm going to do my best to recall the story as best I can, of course. But she was, she worked, she was a journalist who was reporting on the NGOs at the border. And she said, look, they would come in, we'd get these groups of people, and they'd line them up and then give them backpacks, and backpacks would have like phones and whatever, food and water and debit cards or whatever. She's like, and they would all, they'd say where they were from and where their destination is. They'd all get put on these buses, and then the next round would come in. But here's the thing. When they were Chinese, they were put separately by Customs and Border Protection. And they would wait there for different vans, not buses, different vans that apparently had nothing to do with Customs and Border Protection. They were like, and she was asking, where are these people going? And the Border Patrol's like, we don't know. We're just told to do this. Chinese military-age men being separated out from the rest of the illegal aliens that were crossing the border, and then ushered away in vans that were not in any way affiliated with either Customs and Border Protection or the known NGOs and organizations that were taking the regular illegal aliens to wherever they were supposed to be going. And she asked, where are they going? Well, we have no idea. We don't know anything about this. We just know that if they're Chinese, they go over there. We put them in that group, and then that group gets ushered away. Van comes in, takes them away. We never see them again. That should like legitimately raise humongous alarm bells. I mean, everybody in conservative media should be talking about that, or should have been talking about it. And it disappeared. It's like, and that journalist, I don't remember who it was, but I didn't see anything from her again. Maybe we stumbled upon a conspiracy. Maybe the J.D. Rucker show won't be on the air tomorrow because we're exposing this. Nah, that's probably not true. Anyway, so in agreement with tentative infidel in the chat, the CCP needs to be extinguished. Yes, absolutely. Starts here. Get rid of them here. And then, look, we can argue that because they're such a threat that they need to be extinguished in China. I'm not a big fan of messing with anybody else, except for the fact that they're messing with us. I'm not calling for regime change before anybody starts calling me a neocon. I'm not saying that we have to do the extinguishing, but you know, I mean, 1.4 billion people, that's pretty hard to control, right? Who knows? Maybe they can they can do the extinguishing of the CCP. I don't know. I don't know enough about the iron grip that they have there. I have heard rumors that the iron grip is not nearly as iron as they would want the rest of the world to believe, especially as it pertains to the economy, and that more business interests in China are starting to take control. But unfortunately, as far as for us and for them, for the Chinese people, these business interests are perfectly aligned with the Chinese Communist Party. It's not that they're trying to push out the Chinese Communist Party. They're trying to control within the Chinese Communist Party. They're trying to have more control over the nation. Yeah, sort of, I don't know. Point is that, yes, the CCP's influence here in the United States of America, 100%, absolutely positively, all of it has to be extinguished. We cannot allow the CCP to have any influence here. People ask me, oh, it's not very freedom-minded of you to want TikTok to be banned. No, it's not. But it is security-minded of me. They are a threat, whether it's TikTok or Red Note or what is it, DeepSeek, the AI program that we're going to be talking about. It doesn't matter. Anything that has to do with the Chinese Communist Party infiltrating the United States, whether it's with people or technology or equipment or goods, I want to eliminate. I want to have nothing to do with them at all. And there's going to be business leaders out there that say, but we need, 1.4 billion people. It's a lot of people. We need that for the economy. Fine, figure something else out. Okay? Figure out a way to engage with that economy without allowing them to infiltrate our nation across the board in every possible way. They're buying farmland near military bases. Just the fact, take out the military bases part, they're buying farmland. That sucks and needs to stop. Now you throw in, they're buying farmland near military bases. Okay, that really sucks. It needs to stop. Spy balloons, drones, spies that are infiltrating, that are being literally taking control of offices in our government. We have lawmakers that are compromised from the Chinese Communist Party. So anyway, to tentative infidels' point, yes. Yes, the CCP needs to be extinguished. All right, let's see what else. What do we got? Let's go to some good news. Good news real quick. I got two more pieces of news from this morning, and then we will get into the rest. And then we'll get into the rest. But there was some good news and potentially great news, but at the very least good news over the weekend. Trump has signed an executive order regarding FEMA, and I'm all about it. Trump signs an executive order to overhaul or abolish FEMA. Now, this agency has been an absolute disaster throughout its entire existence. It has failed numerous times. I mean, the failures are far greater than anything they've ever actually been able to accomplish as an agency that's designated to handle emergencies. It's something that I believe should squarely be handled by locals, by the state, the highest level, and then the county and the city and the locals should be able to handle disasters very well, much better than what the federal government does when they try to airdrop in people who have to learn the area, learn the terrain, learn the people, learn the everything. They don't have that information, whereas the locals do. They might have all the equipment in the world and great technology and strategies and all this other stuff, but they just tend to come in and mess everything up. We've seen it too many times. If it's a minor disaster, I guess they're okay with it. But once you start getting into major emergencies, that's where they fail miserably. Now, of course, there's the conspiracy theory that I happen to hold to, that the real purpose of FEMA is to establish an infrastructure through which they'll be able to manage the people in a nationwide disaster. In other words, they don't look at it as, hey, how do we handle hurricanes or fires? They look at FEMA as, hey, how do we control millions or tens of millions of survivors after we unleash whatever it is that we're going to unleash? Or just in case somebody else unleashes on us, FEMA's there, in other words, to keep us in line in case there's a major EMP or asteroid or whatever. And I do believe that's the truth, and I would argue that very few people are fully aware of it, but we've seen far too many evidence, or far too much evidence of this being the case. So anyway, but we're not here to rip on FEMA from a conspiracy theory perspective. We've got mainstream facts on our side for this particular story, which comes to us from M. Dowling over at independentsentinel.com. On Sunday, President Trump signed an executive order that aims to overhaul potentially abolish the Federal Emergency Management Agency. The order calls for the creation of a task force called the Federal Emergency Management Agency Review Council to review the agency and recommend changes in a report. These changes could include abolishing the agency. In that case, Congress would have to make the decision, which is why, to be clear, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be about reforming or fixing FEMA and not really abolishing it. I think that if it could be very easily done by decree, that Trump would decree it. But because it's going to take a bit more to get rid of this particular agency, this isn't something where DOJ can just wave a magic wand and all of a sudden they're gone. Back to the article. The council will be composed of the secretaries of Homeland Security and Defense, as well as experts from the private sector. Standard operating procedure. This is a process that does definitely point to major changes, which, again, would I rather see them abolished rather than overhauled? You betcha. You betcha. I think that any disasters can be handled better at the local, city, and state levels, county as well. But since we can't always have the best case scenario, we can accept and should accept a massive overhaul. And one of the biggest reasons for this is because very few people are saying otherwise. I mean, even the left, even Democrats are like, yeah, let's overhaul FEMA. They suck. Let's overhaul FEMA. Let's fix this. Now, what the overhaul will look like, to me, is probably going to be something that we might not like. There's a bit of centralization component to President Trump's policies, and I think that he likes the idea of having a better FEMA, but one that's still fully in control from a federal level. So be it. I mean, nothing we can do about that. I don't think we can dissuade him from that. So if that's the case, then yes, let's make sure that FEMA is being operated properly. And it's not just about making sure that they're not passing over conservatives' homes. That's I know that was a big deal, especially during Helene. But the bigger deal, the far bigger deal in all of this is not about bias. It's about incompetence. It's about total failures. There are still people who are struggling, suffering, in some cases dying in North Carolina. It was 4 months ago. How much time does FEMA need? I mean, seriously. This makes no sense. This is a complete and total collapse of an agency whose responsibility is allegedly to handle situations such as Hurricane Helene and Milton, for that matter. So yeah, I'll take the overhaul. I would rather have them abolished altogether. But sometimes you got to take the victories as they come, and a massive overhaul of FEMA, I'll take that as a victory. Like I said, we had some good news. Good news. Here's another story. This comes to us from the Independent Sentinel. I mentioned China, obviously, earlier, and I mentioned the Chinese spy balloons. Well, we're talking about it now. M. Dowling, the great and wonderful M. Dowling. Look, if you're not reading the independentsentinel.com, you need to. It's the most underrated site in conservative media. It really is. She's on top of stuff. She's a one-woman show. Okay, and she is she's got a great nose for the news. Her perspectives are spot on, and she tells stories that sometimes other quote unquote conservative news outlets just simply won't touch. The truth about the Chinese balloon. Glenn Van Herk, retired Air Force general who led the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, told the National Post this week that officials only contacted him when the balloon was nearly over Alaska, 2 weeks before it crossed into the lower 48. He immediately scrambled 2 Raptor stealth fighters and 2 armed F-16s to deal with the balloon, but due to it not posing a physical threat, the jets had to stand down until Joe Biden gave the green light. Van Herk said he should have been warned about the spy balloons in advance. Reports have since suggested that U.S. intelligence may have been aware of the balloon when it launched from Hainan Island in China. It's a failure of multiple intelligence and DoD agencies. That's what he said. I should not be surprised by something coming into my area of responsibility. Anybody who knows about it should pass that on. It shouldn't be less than 24-hour notice. The balloon was shot down after the fact in the Atlantic Ocean, so it went all the way across the world, the nation, did everything it was supposed to do, and then, let's shoot it down now. Now it's safe to shoot down. He said the balloon opened up eyes. He's now retired Air Force general. But yeah, I mean, come on. If we're really going to sit here and think that the Biden-Harris regime, Beijing Biden, and more importantly, his handlers were not only fully aware but complicit in this, then it's ludicrous. They knew it was coming. They probably knew before it was launched. They were made aware, and their puppet masters in the globalist elite cabal said, "Hey, we need this balloon to fly over." And maybe they had objections, maybe they didn't. But they were they being the Biden-Harris regime. They were very, very hopeful that nobody would notice. I mean, you can't tell me that, number one, especially if we now know that they were fully aware of it before it got over the lower 48, that tells us beyond a shadow of a doubt that they had to want it to cross the continental United States. Otherwise, they would have and should have shot it down immediately. Shot it down before it got over Oregon or wherever it was. Washington, was it the Dakotas? I don't even remember where it first crossed over into U.S. territory, but it should have been shot down before then. That's an invasion. Okay, that's an attack. So, well, we don't know what it did. Exactly. We don't know what it was. You and I, they knew. Biden-Harris regime knew. Their handlers knew. The globalist elite cabal knew. Beijing obviously knew. They all knew. They were just hoping that none of us would notice. This is, I mean, of all the stories from the last 4 years, the treacherous stories, the stories where our own government was working against us, this is top 10 story top 10 incident, I should say, not story. The incident should be investigated thoroughly and fully exposed by the Trump administration. This is something I believe Pam Bondi. Now, don't put this on Congress. Okay, this is a DOJ thing. And but what about national security? What about top secret? What about DOD? What about? Okay, great. That's the last administration. Figure out what they did wrong and correct it. And I don't even care if it's public. You want to do it behind closed doors, secret grand juries and whatever. Fine. Just figure out what was done, because something happened. Something happened, and our government was involved. Speaking of government involved, I, as you all are very well aware, I am a Trump supporter, obviously. And as a Trump supporter, I tend to support his policies first, even if there's a risk to them. Because I've learned time and again that things that I think are potentially bad, a lot of times they turn out to be good. Not every time. Look, I was vehemently opposed. I mean, I remember back, what was it, 2017-ish? think it was 2017, 2018, when the whole bump stock ban started coming out. Trump was supporting it. His administration was supporting it. And I'm like, no, no, no. First tell us what actually happened in Vegas, which we still have no idea. We still know nothing about it. We know more. We know a lot more. The FBI apparently, allegedly, knows a lot more about grandmas that walked through the Capitol than they know about a man who allegedly shot and killed like 50 something people. Well, shot a bunch more than that. A man who allegedly working alone, allegedly. Yeah, we don't know anything about Stephen Paddock. Nothing. But with that said, for that to result in the bump stock ban, I would still, if Trump brought it up again, I would be adamantly opposed to it again. Okay, it has been reversed, thankfully, but still, he supported that, and I still have never once gotten on his side about that. But with that said, I generally tend to. There are, I could list a half dozen other times when I was like, wait, what is he doing? And it's like, oh, I see now. Okay, that makes sense. So with what he's doing or what he will be doing to the dollar, to the stock market, I would say, I call him a great economist. He's a very good economist. Martin Armstrong does know what he's talking about. And his warnings for the Trump administration should be heeded. So I did a article about him, or not article, I did a segment about him this morning. This is the last of the morning segments that I'll allow to play. And then, finally, we will get to talking about DeepSeek. But I wanted to get this one out there because, look, we can say, the Bidenomics is over, so let the good times roll. But I think that we learned today in the stock market that good times rolling don't necessarily equate to there's no risk, there's no threats, there's no give or take. In order for President Trump's economy to truly flourish, there are going to have to be some sacrifices. You can't have every single financial indicator rising at the same time. That's parity. That can't work. I mean, it's not because it's President Trump. It's because of math. Mathematically, it can't work. You're going to have winners. You're going to have losers. Trump has an incredible grasp over who should win and who should lose to make it better for working class Americans. That is his goal, and I appreciate that greatly. But with that said, Martin Armstrong says he's offering a warning to the Trump administration about potential blowback from some of his upcoming actions. Watch. Martin Armstrong says a devalued dollar will crash the Dow. This comes to us from USAWatchdog.com, a site that I don't go to nearly enough. They do a great job of highlighting the things that people need to know, but they don't post very often, so I sometimes forget to go there. But Greg Hunter over there says, he's speaking to Martin Armstrong. He says, the legendary financial and geopolitical cycle analyst Martin Armstrong is back with a warning to President Trump, who's on record wanting a weaker dollar. Trump might try to force a lower value for the U.S. dollar to help offset the trade deficit. Just this past week, Trump is demanding lower interest rates. Experts say this might also lower the value of the U.S. dollar. Armstrong predicts, quote, everything has an international value. If you lower the value of the dollar, then oil in terms of dollar will rise. Look at gold. It's not making new highs right now because the dollar is going up, but chart it in Canadian dollars or euros and it's making new highs. You dramatically lower the dollar and you're going to cause a crash. Again, it could be 40 to 50%. He's referring specifically to the stock market. Armstrong has deep experience in the currency markets. In 1985, he was called by the Reagan administration about cutting the value of the dollar to spark trade. Armstrong warned, if you cut the dollar, you will have a big crash within 2 years. What happened? 2 years later, the stock market crashed more than 22% in one day in the infamous 1987 stock market crash. It is still the record for a one-day crash in percentage terms. Armstrong says, in the end, they said, we think foreign exchange had something to do with the crash. That was the best I could get out of them. They are not going to stand up and say, oh, gee, we caused it by lowering the dollar by 40%. Armstrong is going to write President Trump a letter warning him not to force the U.S. dollar lower. But here's the thing, and this is something we should consider. I respect Martin Armstrong. I'm sure the economists in the Trump administration respect Martin Armstrong, but they also have great intentions of sparking the economy as a whole, even if that means going against the dollar and going against the Dow. This is one of the reasons why they are so adamant about promoting both cryptocurrency and physical precious metals. It's one of the reasons why they're also adamant about getting foreign investments into the United States as early as possible. They want the money to come in and essentially have a higher value than it would if the investments come in later. They're talking to Saudi Arabia, they're talking to Japan, they're talking to as many people as they can ahead of any foul moves. We also have to consider the possibility, and I would say the likelihood, that the Fed is going to, at some point, either work with President Trump or succumb to the pressure of outside forces to try to get interest rates as low as possible. This can help, I guess, in terms of the debt. That's something that President Trump and Elon Musk, for that matter, have been. They're the kings of borrowing, right? That's what they do, and I think both of them feel that we can basically borrow our way out of this. Now, as a Trump supporter, I'm not going to try to outsmart him or I'm not going to go against his policies, because he's done many times in the past, more times than I can count. He's engaged in policies that I would have initially been skeptical about, but that I've come around to believing them to be great. One perfect example of that, by the way, is tariffs. I was adamantly, vehemently opposed to tariffs prior to seeing what Trump can do with them, and that's when I realized, tariffs in general aren't just naturally bad. They're only bad if you misuse them. And President Trump, in his first term, used them very well, and is expected to do even better with his second term. Back to the cryptocurrency and gold aspect of this. Gold and silver, to be clear. It's not just gold. We can look at palladium. We can look at all the precious metals. Anything that's going to have either physical value or intrinsic value, I guess you could say, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, these are the things that are going to benefit if Armstrong is correct. The Dow is not the place to be. Now, it would be silly of me to not mention my sponsors. This isn't the sponsored post by any means. This is the news. Okay, I mean, this interests me regardless of who my sponsors are. But I just happen to have two sponsors, one in cryptocurrency and one in physical precious metals, that can help you. So I'm not going to do a pitch. I'm just going to tell you, if you are interested in moving wealth or retirement to cryptocurrency, and you need help, you need expert guidance that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, go to jdrcrypto.com, jdrcrypto.com. And if you would prefer physical precious metals, go to jdrgold.com for the same reasons. I myself, look, I am looking at this, the situation, the geopolitical situation, the economic situation here in the United States, everything that Trump has said, the people that he's hired, such as David Sachs, the people that he is pushing through, such as Besant. These are people that match. I mean, everything that Martin Armstrong is saying here seems to align. And I'm not going to like, oh my gosh, Martin Armstrong, economists are a dime a dozen. He just happens to be one of the smartest ones out there. So let's see. I need to make sure, because I stopped the article there. I want to make sure that there are always going to be times when we do these stories. And I got caught doing this. I'm not caught like, oh my gosh, you're busted. Caught as in like, I was doing a segment on a story and I realized about halfway through that it was like a sponsored post. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, that can't happen, because that's the nature of advertorials. They're supposed to lead you down a path. I want to make sure that this isn't a self-serving piece, because I didn't read the last two paragraphs. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's see. He's going to write, President Trump, how's this war picture shaping up now that Trump, who wants to be a peacemaker, is in office? Armstrong says that you have French President Macron saying that he wants to send troops to Ukraine. Britain just now sent 20 to 30,000 troops into Romania. They want war. They're basically on the verge of sovereign debt crisis. So they have a choice. They default and say, oh, sorry, we screwed up. Or, it's not on us, it's Putin. We have to go get him. The German government fell the very next day after Trump was elected. You see this going on all over Europe. In closing, Armstrong sees gold and silver going up from here, obviously. The U.S. is still the strongest economy by far, but Armstrong's computer program Socrates sees a global recession no later than 2028. Socrates also sees the possibility of war as early as April or May of 2025. Armstrong tells President Trump, get out of NATO ASAP. And there's a 66-minute interview with him. I'll leave the link in the show notes. So, yeah. So, I mean, he's just saying. He's not saying. He's just saying. He didn't mention crypto, which I wouldn't expect him to. But that one's kind of obvious. But he does mention precious metals, but not in a self-serving manner. So I appreciate that. I do support every aspect of President Trump's economic plan, not because I necessarily appreciate all of the individual components, but when taken as a whole, we have two choices: either we trust him or we don't. Either we take what we have, what we've learned over the last 8 years, not just the last 4 years. We take what we've learned the last 8 years, because things were not perfect between 2017 and 2020. Let's be clear. It wasn't just COVID that ruined everything. There were some mistakes made policy-wise. And that's the reason that, if everything was hunky-dory, then Trump would have just, hey, let's just go back to what we were doing before. But he has a plan. He and his people have plans to move forward, again, with the focus on things that aren't necessarily stock market favorable, and that definitely aren't dollar favorable. They want to reduce inflation. They want to make things more affordable for people. But arguably more importantly, they want wealth to be flowing through the United States of America. And whether that's through the Dow, which clearly it's not the case, or through physical precious metals, seems likely, and that seems to align also with the direction of the central banks across the globe. If it's with crypto, he's been extraordinarily vocal about his belief that crypto is the future. He signed an executive order banning central bank digital currencies. That was, I had two things. There's a reason why I've been very opposed to crypto up until November 4th. Okay, number one, if Kamala Harris had won, crypto was dead. Okay, it was dead. The United States, it would have been disastrous. I would say Bitcoin would probably be down below 40,000 by now. Okay, but number two, it was understanding the risks of central bank digital currencies. I've always felt, and I still do feel this way, to be clear, but I've always felt that the plan was to get people into cryptocurrency, keep it relatively unregulated, and then flip it on it. And the global sleek ball flipping it to where, here's a Bitcoin crash, an Ethereum crash, everything's crashing. We got to regulate it. We got to control it. We got to figure out some way to control the blockchain. The only way we can do that is with central bank digital currencies. Here's your digital dollar. I think that's still the plan. It's just not in the next 4 years. And maybe a little bit after that. But I think that before 2030, we could see a massive realignment. Depends upon who wins. This is one of the reasons why the best thing that we can do, if you want to protect your wealth, protect your retirement, protect the flow of the economy in America in general, we have to push for and pray for success, massive success under President Trump, and hopefully after that under the soon-to-be President J.D. Vance or whoever a non-communist that we can get going in 2028. So yeah, so bottom line, stay frosty. We know that economic policy is going to improve, because it's not possible to have economic policy that's worse than what we've had the last 4 years. But I think that we might not just be on the verge of improving, that we might truly be on the verge of a new golden era here in the United States of America. Here's a true story. I was testing out some coffee. This has been almost a year ago. Testing out some coffee for a potential sponsor. And I had made the coffee, and I went about my morning routine, did my work, doing my thing, and then I took my first sip of coffee. And it struck me. I'm like, holy crap. I had forgotten that I was testing out this new coffee. I just took the first sip, and I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, this is Promised Grounds. This is the stuff that they sent me. So I started drinking some more of it, and I have become a lifetime customer of Promised Grounds. They are a Christian coffee company. which I know you don't see a whole lot of them. They give back to the community. They're Texas, all American, all Texan, just like a lot of the stuff that we do. Check them out. Go to jdrucker.com/coffee, jdrucker.com/coffee, and check out Promise Grounds. It's great. Did I really? I did. I just did that, didn't I? I totally forgot to turn off the. Dang it. Son of a gun. And I made a funny joke about the coffee. All right. I got to remember to do that. So I turn off the mic sometimes when I go to do whatever it is. In this case, I made myself some coffee while the coffee ad was playing. Funny stuff. And then I forgot to turn the mic back on like a dummy. Dummy, dumb, dumb. All right, so let's talk about DeepSeek. For those who don't know, DeepSeek is the Chinese Communist Party's artificial intelligence, at least the public version of it, the one that we now have access to. Anyone who thinks of this, the timing of this release isn't intentional. Of course it is. This comes right after President Trump announces and that he's going to get investments of up to $500 billion, $500 billion invested into this new company that's going to include some tech giants, some foreign investors, and they're going to use this to develop the next stage of artificial intelligence here in the United States of America. Well, one of the members of this group is Sam Altman, CEO and founder of OpenAI, which runs ChatGPT. Well, this DeepSeek is a Chinese version that is allegedly better. I don't know from experience because I haven't tested it, but it's allegedly better. It's far cheaper, and it's open source. Three things that you can't say about ChatGPT or anything that we're putting out there. This is the whole reason that there was such a crash today. So we're going to be talking about this probably for the rest of the show, because this is an important story, and I don't think that, like, the focus right now is on the tech industry, NVIDIA losing a bunch of money, $1 trillion in wealth lost in one day as a result. That, to me, is not the big story. The big story here is that it's the number one app right now. Millions, maybe tens of millions of Americans are downloading this CCP spy tool that's. And to be fair, I tried to download it, not to my phone, because I'm that weird paranoid guy. I know, crazy for me to be, a conspiracy theorist and all, but I don't like putting any apps that I don't absolutely positively need. I don't even put X on my phone, or I don't access X from my phone. Okay, I use a secure browser on my laptop computer. I'm so old school. I use a keyboard and a mouse. I'm not sitting there, swiping or doing whatever y'all do with your phones. I put the bare minimum apps that I can on my phone. And so I would never put DeepSeek on my phone ever. But I did try to sign up on with their desktop version. And first it said I couldn't use my email because that email wasn't accepted. Then it wouldn't. I tried to use an old Gmail account. It wouldn't accept that either. I mean, it accepted it, said there was some kind of error. So it's clear that it's not ready for prime time, but they wanted to release it anyway now because this is right on the heels of President Trump now announcing that the United States is going to lead the world in artificial intelligence. This is a publicity stunt, but it's a very dangerous one. Let's get into this article first. We'll get into more details about the AI itself, but I want to start with this is Valuetainment. Patrick Bet-David over there. Article: DeepSeek surpasses ChatGPT as top U.S. app, sends stock market tumbling. Chinese AI startup DeepSeek surged to the top of the American App Store over the weekend, overtaking OpenAI's ChatGPT as the most popular AI assistant in the U.S. The previously unknown app's sudden, explosive debut has left the U.S. stock market reeling, raising concerns about future American dominance in the AI sector. Launched on January 10th, DeepSeek's app leverages the DeepSeek V3 model, reportedly developed for less than $6 million, a fraction of the cost incurred by its American counterparts. DeepSeek also utilizes a new energy-efficient system, dramatically reducing the power consumption required to operate its servers. On that regard, that's a claim. I'm not going to believe it until I see independent evidence of that. Because that to me sounds like it's one of those uncheckable claims, right? They say, oh, not only it's even better for the environment. It's like, okay, well, how do you produce your energy? Well, we're using a new energy efficient system. What system? It's new. It's energy efficient. It's a system. Needless to say, I'm not one who trusts the Chinese Communist Party very much. Following DeepSeek's launch, nuclear energy stocks, including Oklo Inc. and NuScale Power Corporation, suffered steep declines of 16.3% and 13.7%, respectively, as the market reevaluates the energy demands of AI applications and their potential impacts on nuclear investments. That's been a big story for the last year and a half or so. A lot of these companies that are trying to get into artificial intelligence have been saying, hey, maybe we should build our own nuclear reactor so that we can power, not be such a strain on the grid or not have to pay such huge costs. If we have our own nuclear reactor, then hey, and that's the whole idea here, is that, nuclear is going to make a comeback thanks to artificial intelligence and the demands of the data centers that are far exceed in many cases. Like Google, I think, was estimating that they would need more energy to run their data center than the entire city of Los Angeles, and that's before the fires. So, yeah, again, it's coming from Chinese Communist Party. Them making that statement seems intent to attack us, not from the AI perspective. That's a separate issue. They're attacking our economy. They're pushing out these rumors, and because Wall Street, and I'm just going to come out and say it, Wall Street people are really stupid, okay? They always say, oh, I'm not from Harvard, I'm from Wharton, and Wharton is... And I know, okay, what about Trump? No, I get it. But no, I shouldn't say they're stupid. That's the wrong word. They're gullible, okay? The need to be first with information means that they will react to rumors, even if they're false. It's gotten a lot of them into trouble over the years, decades. But that's the game that you play if you're playing in finance. Back to the article. Power companies such as Constellation Energy and Vistra Corp also experienced notable losses, with declines exceeding 14%, raising concerns over the anticipated energy requirements for AI data centers. Analysts suggest that the reduced energy consumption projected by DeepSeek's model could diminish the expected demand for nuclear power as a key source for AI. This development underscores the effectiveness of DeepSeek's open source approach and its competitive pricing, offering capabilities comparable to OpenAI's model for free. The rise of DeepSeek has also sparked discussion about the effectiveness of U.S. export controls on advanced technology, as the startup managed to use NVIDIA's H800 chips for training. They're not supposed to be able to do that, and yet they did. NVIDIA experienced a historic stock market plunge due to investor concerns over the Chinese AI startup DeepSeek, which recently unveiled a large language model at a fraction of the cost of its U.S. counterparts. This sounds like it was written by AI. Funny enough, I would almost guarantee this article was written with the assistance of artificial intelligence. You can just tell. The company's shares dropped as much as 70%, erasing approximately $600 billion in market capitalization, marking the largest single-day loss in history. The shift has knocked NVIDIA from its position as the world's most valuable company, with its valuation falling from $3.49 trillion to $2.89 trillion. This shift could alter the competitive landscape in AI as American tech firms express concerns over their market position. Investors are questioning the sustainability of high valuations in the tech sector. Look, I'm going to stop right there because this is going to go on and on and on. And look, I get it. Okay, I get it. I understand that there are these concerns. But I think in many ways, from an economic perspective, again, I'm not trying to downplay the threat of artificial intelligence and its advancement into AGI and ASI. That I've talked about ad nauseum and will continue to talk about ad nauseum. What I'm suggesting is that the economic, China's going to come in and whoop our butts. I'm just not seeing it, okay? I don't see this long term as a bad thing. Obviously, short term, it was a very bad thing, as NVIDIA and NVIDIA investors are realizing. But long term, I don't see this as a major threat because, call me skeptical, but China has a tendency to ready, fire, aim, especially as it comes to technology. We always say, we got to watch out for China. China's advancing their technology. They're going beyond just the technology that they steal, and they're actually developing their own. The problem is when you have a Marxist regime such as the CCP, you're not going to be able to get the best out of the people. You're not going to be able to get the results that you're expecting because they're going to be more inclined to meet timelines, to meet deadlines, than they are to put out the best possible product. That's a side effect of Marxism. And it's something that has always been and will always be, because otherwise, when you're focused on quality, that's where the only way you can truly focus on quality is with a full-blown capitalistic model and a constitutional republic such as what we have here in the United States of America. You start getting into the combo socialistic capitalism that they have in China, combined with the Marxism of the Chinese government, that's where you get poor results. Now, does this help when it comes to, for example, manufacturing spoons or manufacturing deck chairs? Yes. The ability to meet deadlines at all costs is great. When you're talking about high-end stuff such as artificial intelligence, yeah, you're going to run into problems. So the point is that I think that they are ahead of themselves. And apparently, so does President Trump. According to an article over at Axios, Johnson bashes China on AI. Trump calls DeepSeek development positive. This is a good thing. This comes from, and to be clear, what I'm about to read to you comes from left-wing, left-leaning Axios. So don't expect a whole lot of rah-rah for Trump in this one. This comes from Serene Habishian. I don't know. House Speaker Mike Johnson and sorry. Let's get to the article. House Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump appeared to take different stances Monday on China's artificial intelligence developments. Interest in China's company, DeepSeek, rapid advancement in AI sent the U.S. stock market tumbling as the mobile app climbed to number one. DeepSeek's latest model showed capabilities rivaling those of U.S. competitors, all of while being built at a fraction of the cost and also costing consumers less. Johnson, during a press conference Monday, called China's government a terrible trading partner, saying they abuse the system, they steal our intellectual property. Apparently, alluding to DeepSeek, he said they're now trying to get a leg up on us in AI, as you've seen over the last day or so. But separately, Trump said during an address, gosh, this is such a poorly written article, just extra words thrown in there. Trump said during an address to House Republicans Monday at his Doral, Florida resort that release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win. He said the technology could be a positive development. Our thought bubble via Axios' Ben Berkowitz says the tone of Trump's remarks and the contrast with Johnson's stands as another sign of his softening stance on China. Oh, jeez. See, I should have known. I went into this story blind. All right, I'm considering it for the Liberty Daily, and I should have known that. Oh no, Trump's getting soft on China. No, that's not what this means by any means. And if you have any any concerns about that. China bowed down essentially earlier today. China said that they will accept, and they were the one country that I thought might really truly object to having their people deported back to them. And they said today that they're not going to they're going to do it. They're going to accept their illegal aliens here in the United States as we deport them back to China. So I don't want to hear about how Trump is softening to China. I'll believe it when I see it. And this isn't us seeing it. Just because he says it's a positive development, just because he says, hey, this will maybe light a fire under our butts to do better, he's absolutely 100% correct. And don't forget, I've been opposed to this notion from the beginning, especially when you have Larry Ellison saying, oh, this is going to, take a blood test. And in that blood test, we'll be able to say, oh, you're probably going to get cancer, so we can stop cancer. Give us 48 hours, and we'll let artificial intelligence craft an mRNA jab for you that's going to target just your cancer, and it'll be ready in 2 days. Yeah, that I'm concerned about. But as far as the push to be the dominant force in artificial intelligence, I mean, it's the lesser of two evils, right? Best case scenario, AI goes away. That's not going to happen. So we can dream about that. Second best case scenario, the United States of America leads the way in artificial intelligence. And when we're talking, I posted a story earlier about self-replicating AI. I think there's an important piece of information that everybody needs to understand when it comes to AI. This isn't like, for example, like development of nuclear weapons. Okay. Yes, we have gone from smaller bombs to bigger bombs over the decades, right? But there was nuclear or not. Okay. In other words, the United States was able to develop atomic weapons first. Then Russia did, and other nations caught on. But you were either nuclear or you weren't nuclear. That was so getting out first didn't necessarily give us a huge advantage. Obviously, it did during World War II. But after that, once we get into the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, okay, we saw other nations go advance beyond us, and they have invested in a way to where I would say our nuclear arsenal is too aged to be a full-blown deterrent the way that it used to be. But that's a discussion for another day. Point is that with nukes, it was either you were in or you were out, and that's still how it is today. There's sort of nuclear. They are either, North Korea could be as close to developing nuclear weapons as they can be. Some would say they already have. Okay, fine. Same with Iran. Some would say they already have. Some would say they're close. It's every month there's always a story that says they're 2 weeks away. So I don't know what to believe there. But the point is that it doesn't matter how close you are. This isn't horseshoes or hand grenades. You either have nuclear weapons or you don't. You can be super close to development, but just because you're close to development doesn't mean that, we're at 98% nuclear development. Let's go ahead and go to war now. You have to get to 100%. Artificial intelligence is different, and perhaps more importantly, it is not just self-replicating, as we noted in that article earlier, but it's also self-advancing. In other words, the more advanced a company or a chip or a country or whatever, the more advanced their artificial intelligence is, the more advanced their artificial intelligence can be, and the faster it can get there. In other words, artificial intelligence grows, it snowballs, right? So that's why this race is very, very different from the nuclear race or the moon race or anything like that, where there was, you either could land on the moon or you couldn't. You either could get into space without blowing up or you couldn't. You either had nuclear weapons or you didn't. With AI, it's it's a snowball effect. The more advanced artificial intelligence becomes for a company or a group or an entire country, the more advanced it is, the more advanced it can become, and the faster it can become more advanced. Okay? I hope that makes sense. But that's why it is so important for us to get ahead of this. And I personally, I don't see DeepSeek as the threat. I see it as the warning sign that there may be a true legitimate threat coming from the Chinese Communist Party in the future, one that we don't know about yet. It won't be DeepSeek. That's TikTok for AI. Okay, it's a spy tool. It's a economic attack. That's it. It's there to weaken our economy, to make us question our superiority, and to spy on us. That's it. It serves three purposes. Is that the version of AI that the Chinese Communist Party could put out that could end us? No. Just as ChatGPT is not the version of AI that the United States could put out to control artificial intelligence going forward. It's the stuff that we don't know about. That's what's important. Got to get that out of the way. Let's get to this article, though, by Jordan Schachtel over at his wonderful site, The Dossier. You can get there by going to dossier.today. No .com, dossier.today. You can get there. The U.S. versus China AI race may define Trump's second term. I totally don't disagree. DeepSeek shocks the tech world, but some remain skeptical, as they should. DeepSeek, a Chinese artificial intelligence company, shocked the technology world over the weekend when it released its latest machine learning model. Renowned tech entrepreneur Mark Andreessen, who became a major Trump donor in the run-up to the 2024 election, likened... Oh, no. Oh, don't tell me this is a paid one. Okay, good. Wait, is it? Oh, good. Sorry. I thought it was going to be a subscriber-only one. Likened the development to AI's Sputnik moment. He described DeepSeek as one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs he's witnessed. That's not good. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, called it super impressive and noted its claimed efficiency and the breakthrough it represents despite U.S. restrictions on semiconductor exports to China. DeepSeek presents itself as a groundbreaking initiative in developing large language models that claim to offer unparalleled cost efficiency alongside advanced capabilities. DeepSeek executives claim that its AI programs can compete with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and other costly renowned AI models at a fraction of the cost. The cost efficiency claim caused an enormous reaction in U.S. markets as the NASDAQ lost over 600 points on Monday due to the fallout from the powerful narrative. While many in Silicon Valley remain awestruck, not everyone is drinking the Kool-Aid. Elon Musk poured cold water on the hype and suggested that DeepSeek, through its patron, Trent, is more likely smuggled upwards of billions of dollars worth of advanced NVIDIA computing Chinese government power into the country despite export controls that the Biden administration attempted and failed to enact. Musk found a skeptical ally in Scale AI CEO Alexander Wang. My understanding is DeepSeek has 50,000 H100s. They can't talk about them because it is against the export controls that the U.S. has put in place. Training AI models involves enormous data sets, which means that high computational costs, energy consumption, and significant human effort for data curation and model tuning. DeepSeek claims to overcome these costs through innovative training methods and presumably more efficient algorithms. Still, the specifics of how this is achieved have been glossed over or presented with broad optimistic statements rather than concrete metrics. Additionally, continuous learning and updating an AI model to keep up with knowledge evolution can be resource intensive. If DeepSeek's model requires frequent retraining or significant human oversight to maintain performance, the long-term cost efficiency might be less than advertised. I'm not going to read the whole thing. The idea here is that there are reasons to be skeptical of DeepSeek's claims. And I think it's crystal clear that did they steal the technology? Maybe. Did they break laws to get the chips that they don't have, that they can't produce? Did they break laws to get those chips? Yeah, they did. I don't even have to pretend. I don't even have to put in caveat. Oh, I'm 93% sure, 98% sure. I'm sure. I mean, the only other option, well, there is no real viable other option. So does that mean that we can do anything about it? If this were a month ago, 2 months ago, I'd say no. But we're in Trump Town now. And in Trump Town, you never know what we're going to be able to accomplish. We are going to have to do a deeper dive. It's funny because I wanted this to be I wanted to do a deep dive into DeepSeek. But I waited too long, apparently, because I was able to make it through 2 stories. I've got 7 other stories, and we are now at over 2.5 hours of show. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to push the rest of this off until tomorrow, because we have to get into what I believe to be the real risks. We already established the economic risk that DeepSeek poses to the United States of America. We already have called BS on some of its claims. We also have declared that President Trump himself does not see this necessarily as a threat, nor should he. But there are risks involved. And just as Glenn Beck said earlier today that he would not recommend anybody download this, I too am recommending the same thing. It's a curiosity that could be, in my humble opinion, deadly. Not necessarily, not like DeepSeek's going to kill you directly, but it's the best practice, and I'm not scared to say it. It's the best practice to minimize the apps that you put on your mobile device, especially if they are Chinese apps. But I say this about all apps. If you don't absolutely need it, get it off your phone. Okay? And even if you do need it, but it's risky, get it off your phone. I don't think people realize just how compromised we are as individuals, as a society. Apps have made us more compromised. And I want you to start getting used to not employing them, because once we get into the next stage, okay, all those apps on your phone, they're going to be replaced. So obviously the phone itself is in the process of getting replaced as well. But the apps, for sure, they are going to be replaced by AI agents. AI agents are going to be able to do what apps can do today, but far better and far more intuitively, far faster, far more accurately, far everything better. It's ugly. It's horrible. It's part of the AI revolution. And some would say it's the AI evolution that we are rapidly seeing in front of our eyes today. I'm always torn because, again, I don't want to come across necessarily as crazy, but I also don't want to not warn you of the risks, of the threats. I don't want to come across as doom and gloom, but I also don't want you to think, oh my gosh, guys, we can fight this. We can stop AI. We can't. God could, and I do pray that he does, but I don't think, if I'm reading my Bible right, certainly doesn't seem like we're going to get a reprieve on this one. Doesn't sound to me, based on my understanding of the Bible, it doesn't seem like AI is going to disappear before the end times. If anything, it's going to play a very important role in the biblical end times. It may already be playing a very important role, and we may already be in the biblical end times. So I tell people, number one, first and foremost, no matter what, above all else, get right with God. Read your Bible. Pray. Spread the gospel. Do as we're instructed to do. Number two, prepare yourself physically. Prepare yourself spiritually, then prepare yourself physically. Make sure that this isn't about becoming a doomsday prepper and having a bunker in South Dakota, though that's not a bad idea. This is about making sure that to reduce your potential dependency in case of emergency. Even if just for the sake of seeing what's happening in North Carolina, and be, whoa, but Trump's helping in North Carolina. Great, awesome, love it. But if they being, residents of North Carolina, many of them, at least some of them, didn't have to wait for Trump to win the election. They didn't have to wait for Trump to come visit. It behooves us to start preparing ourselves to be able to handle whether it's a flood or a storm, rather, a hurricane in North Carolina, or fires in LA or in all what will eventually be probably all of California, or spy balloons, or EMP attacks, or the sun, solar rays coming down and wreaking havoc on the atmosphere. I'm not trying to scare you. What I'm telling you is this, is that regardless of any of these things happening, or if nothing at all happens, being able to control where you can go, what you can do, how you can preserve yourself and your family, that is the most important thing, next to, of course, being spiritually and biblically prepared. Preparing yourself to not be beholden. Again, I'm not saying that you all got to go launch a homestead, start growing your own chickens and planting your own cows. What I'm saying is, sorry, I made myself chuckle with that one. What I'm saying is that, number one, that's not a bad idea, but number two, take it in steps. Even if you can only control part of the things, even if you can only go get a little prepared, start learning things, learning actual skills. There's this big push right now. They used to say, learn to code. Now they say, learn to develop AI agents. I say, learn to sew and repair clothing. Learn how and when to plant certain seeds. Learn how to be a marksman, how to craft your own ammunition. Learn how to do all these things. Learn survival skills. Or as they used to call it back in the old days, learn skills. Be able to not be beholden to government, FEMA, NGOs, public-private partnerships, the Chinese Communist Party, North Korea, Russia, whoever, or even our own government. Be as independent as possible. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to alert you to what appears to be every day an increasingly more likely scenario that is around the corner. I just don't know how far the corner is. We know it's around the corner. I don't know if that corner is three months away or 3 years away. I don't think it's 3 decades away, but it could be. But either way, it doesn't matter. Get yourself ready. That's all I'm saying. Get ready and get skilled and get prepared. Those are the main takeaways. I will talk more about DeepSeek and the Chinese Communist Party threat tomorrow. Lord willing, I will be back tomorrow with another episode. But in the meantime, you all stay strong, stay safe, and God bless.